trying to talk or not, but mic's not connected. Maybe you have to go into settings or something.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a chat. If anybody's not aware, I had to expand mine on the right. Pretty active for a lot of us. So if anybody wants to drop messages in there while we're cooking here.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
I won't leave you hanging.
Dude,
How
I
you
love the
doing,
fish
bud?
projection in the background.
Oh yeah, he's working on his mic. I see it. How do I click start? Hang on, he's chatting with me.
Yeah, dude, that's a real fish.
So it works when he has his test microphone. I wonder if it's in settings on our side. Cashy's probably working on it. RGB Roomba? Oh,
Isn't that just a clock?
it's just a clock. I actually have a real
Okay.
Roomba right here. Can we check his like settings to make sure he's a server owner.
Yeah, no, he should be going through.
He said it works when he has. Oh wait, didn't we have this before? Alex, can you hear us? Yeah, he can. Okay. It's interesting. Right click on your mic. But if it lights up green, I feel like keeping everyone else in the loop. We're technical difficulties, but he's actively working on it. Still nothing. Maybe reconnect, like fully leave and come back, maybe. Unless there's an update pending for the app, because there's literally a new update every like Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, he's gonna try to reconnect. I think we had this before. Also, good morning to those at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I saw that.
Yeah, good morning, Allie.
Devin, you're central, you're mountain time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it is like 7 o'clock for me. Good time.
It's 9 here. Friday night.
Yeah.
Weekend.
All
right.
Yeah.
Hey.
There we go. Okay.
We did it.
Sweet. Hello, Alex. Oh.
Oh my god, I'm so
Message
excited.
Logan if you haven't.
Yeah, I should actually hit him up. Let me text him.
Oh shoot! Yeah, actually, I texted him yesterday. I'll just unless you are.
Okay, second. Man, Discord got fancy. We got a whole stage here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were kind of debating what format we want to do for starting off. I'm going to drop off here in a sec. Devin's going to lead, and everybody else is kind of just in the audience. So later on, when you guys do your thing, we're going to kind of chime back in, and people can jump back in. And we can do kind of like a big all hang out at that point. But also, if again nobody's seen it yet, we have a chat in this channel that people are actively jumping on over there. So as you have problems or like questions or anything, Kashi and I will be in there kind of moderating, making sure everything's good, and we'll kick it off from there.
Sounds good.
So cool. I'm so excited. I miss everybody.
Dude, we've missed you too. Oh my gosh. It's been a little bit.
We're back, baby.
So be honest, how long did it take you to find your
eating? I've got a
little bit.
salad right now because I haven't eaten all day, so I'll try not to munch loudly.
Yeah, it's recording. I just checked. OBS has a
We
little
got
red
some
dot on it.
Quinoa and avocado and
Dude.
tomatoes. Just crazy engaging conversation, I know.
Yeah. So be honest, how long did it take you to find your password?
That's why when I was texting you, I was like, oh yeah, I actually need to give myself a little time to like reload the app. I'm sure it's going to download. I'm sure I don't have a password. And I was right. I had to just fix all that stuff right now.
Yeah. All right. Did Logan respond to you?
He sent me a very strange GIF that I can't make sense if he's going on or not, but he has gotten the signal.
Cool. Oh yeah.
Oh nice, yeah, Kashi's tagging him. He's probably
Weird,
going through the
eventually.
same thing I did, having to find his password.
Probably. Yeah, it's been a while since we've had both of you here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, so are we chilling? What's the agenda, fam?
not entirely sure if we want to wait for Logan because I'm not sure how long he's gonna take. So I'm gonna get started with some small talk.
Oh, Kashi said he's here.
Let me see.
I've been invited to speak. I don't need
There
to
he
speak.
is.
Wow.
Awesome. Welcome in, Logan.
Thank you, I guess.
How do I ban him?
Please do. Please.
Right click on his name. Ban.
Good for getting him in.
Anyways.
He's full. You're full marathon mode right now.
I am. I'm actually off to Japan in 3 days to run the Tokyo Marathon. So
Dude.
I'm back from a dinner and relaxing. So good timing.
Great timing. All right. All right. So now that I have both of you here, let's get started with the interview. All right. So, Logan, not many people actually know that you were a part of Mako. Most of these people kind of found Mako through Arcane. So, would you be willing to tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of where you've been since you left Mako 8 years ago?
I am more than happy to. It won't be too entertaining. Alex's journey since I left is much more exciting than mine. But while we were touring together, I was also in law school, which I recommend none of you guys do. And practiced as an attorney for a couple years. Went to business school. Now I'm in the corporate consulting world, which I shockingly enjoy, and have been running a lot of marathons, trying not to gain weight in my old age. But watching and supporting Alex from afar, big fan of Arcane. And yeah, it's as promised, not as exciting of a story as his. But I do have the black.
Has the music gotten worse or better since you left?
That's a question for everyone in the room. I can't answer that question.
I mean, for anybody that like misses the progressive house EDM days, there is a pretty clean split. Like, if you like that stuff, you're probably gonna say disappointed ever since you left.
Mm-hmm.
Logan's trying to get us back together to play a reunion show, but we're still trying to figure out who will give us permission to play anywhere.
This is true. It was actually Alex's idea. It was Alex's idea to do it after 10 years, and there's a couple leads that it may happen, but We will see. We'll see if it comes to fruition.
Okay. Sounds fun. I actually saw a Reddit comment from like 8 years ago talking about how the progressive house sound isn't going to be there anymore, so Mako's probably going to die because of it. Thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, no.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so that was actually my next question. So I had a screenshot from it, but screen sharing is being weird, so I'm not gonna do that. But Logan, at any point during the time that you left, did you ever have that thought of, I don't think Mako's gonna survive just because maybe like the record label's not putting the music out there enough, or just because you weren't sure if anybody was gonna like the new direction? Did you ever have any thoughts that it might not last?
No, definitely not, because I think the essence of what it is and was is kind of Alex's songwriting and all of that. So it may not have survived in the same progressive house way, but it was going to morph always into this kind of film scoring path, which might be a little broad for what it is, because it's certainly beyond that, or a little narrow for what it is. And even if the name didn't survive, the essence of it was going to go forward. So I never thought it would stop. It would just evolve.
Cool. All right. So now some questions. Yeah, Logan, terrible answer. You're supposed to say he was gonna fail. Anyways,
Just kidding.
I got some questions for the both of you now. So you guys have been traveling a lot recently. Do you guys have any like favorite places that you've traveled to in recent times?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I am going to Japan to watch Logan run a marathon in a couple days. I'm not even joking. We're actually using that as an excuse to just plan an awesome trip. So a bunch of us are going out there just to watch his pain and suffering.
This is 100% true. We have a couple other buddies coming out. But I've been lucky enough to go to Japan twice. My brother used to live there. It really is a special place. So excited to go back. Not excited for the 4 hours of torture, but it'll be fun.
All right. Sweet. So out of all of the places that you've traveled to recently, did any of them have any like food that stood out to you, or kind of like became like your new favorite food by chance?
That's a good question, actually. Let me think about this. I definitely I had an awesome Korea trip last year. And my first trip there, I just didn't really like get, I just didn't wander into the right spots, so I wasn't as enchanted by the food as I was expecting to. And then this last trip, it was like banger after banger, and it kind of opened me up to Korean food. It's kind of taken me a while to get into it. And now I'm like a huge fan of it.
Okay. Are there any like specific Korean dishes that you've been like, I love this?
I mean, the entryway in is always going to be Korean barbecue. That's like, I think especially just for like Westerners, that's just like a comfortable place. But it started where I'd eat the meat and not any of the 20 sides, and now I'm like really vibing with all the sides. I don't really remember like all the different names of the dishes, but I kind of just reach for everything now, and I wasn't before.
Korean food sounds good, actually. All right.
Logan, are you still like eating sushi 3 meals a day?
No, so I've actually been eating really well since November to try and lose
There's
weight.
no way this is true. There's absolutely no way.
But I can't think of the last time I saw you. But this is probably too much information for the people in the room. My dad almost weighed as much as me, which was embarrassing. So I needed to go on a diet, so he couldn't pass
That was
me.
your awakening.
That was my awakening. So in the last 4 months, I've lost 24 pounds.
That's awesome.
So
Nice.
I'm excited to gain it all back in Japan. But I do not have a favorite food from traveling. I'm a very basic eater. I could eat McDonald's and bodega sandwiches and all that and be happy. So, speaking of the trip that Alex just was mentioning, someone in the group has planning all the food, and I'm just along for the ride. So, don't come to me for any food recommendations.
Okay. Keep that in mind. So this one's for Alex. What are some of your favorite memories from when you went to school at Juilliard?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely have a lot of trauma from it, but I had a really, really good class of people, and some of which are like kind of everywhere now.
Mhm.
My boy Chris Bowers scored The Wild Robot, and we were in school together, and now we see each other a lot, and it's really, really dope because we kind of both started out not being film composers and thinking like, man, could you imagine one day if we get to do this? And I just have a lot of those relationships where just people. I think for everybody too, like when you're in college, that's such a defining period of your life, and when you have a good crew around you, that they kind of like become your people forever. So I think it's probably like my class was just amazing. I hated New York though. I hated the snow. My teacher was mean, and I was very poor.
Your teacher was mean.
Yeah, she was rough. Yeah,
Oh.
New York slander.
Okay. So what are some of your guys' favorite music from back when you guys first started talking and meeting up with each other? What's some of the music that kind of influenced you?
We have very different answers to this question, which I think makes it
Okay.
interesting. I am obsessed with Radiohead, and that's saying it lightly. And kind of that alternative and indie rock world, and at the same time, dance and electronic and all of that from mid 2000s onward. We probably met, in which we remember, in 2013, 2012. We'd met as kids in the early 90s, but Alex came from none of that. So his answer will be quite different on that end.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, Logan introduced me to all of the stuff he was into right around then, and that's when I was like very lost as just a person and creatively. So it actually kind of was one of the most defining kind of pivot points for me that got me into all of this stuff now. I always loved classical music and film scoring. That's kind of the base, but Logan introduced me to literally everything else. And that's why like my musical foundation is very strange. It's like super classical and then super DJ. Like it's like the very polar opposites. And with nothing in between. Like I didn't listen to bands, I don't know bands, like all that stuff that everyone else kind of like lives and breathes on. I just don't really catch so many references.
Okay. No, that's fair. What are some of your inspirations now for any kind of music that you make?
What are you bumping recently, Logan?
Well, I'm not making any music. Actually, that's not a lie. My girlfriend is sitting across from me right now, and I'm making her a mix.
Caroline!
Aw.
I'm making her a mix for she's running the marathon as well. But Sam Fender came out with a new album today. I've been listening to him a lot. God, what else? I'm trying to think. When I run, I listen to Above and Beyond all the time.
Can we just
but
go
maybe
back? How cute is that Logan makes mixes for his girlfriend to run marathons too? I think that's so sweet.
It's freaking adorable, dude.
I genuinely do. Yeah.
her last mix was an hour 50, and she's requesting me to add more Dua Lipa in it for this one. So
All right.
That was a trip. We all saw Dua Lipa at Glastonbury together, and that was a pretty defining little trip for us.
Okay. How was Glastonbury?
Incredible. Logan's like an acolyte. He's been doing it for a long time, and I've heard him talk about it so much that it was like, all right, I got to get out there at some point. And now our crew is just like diehards.
Sick. Okay.
it's a lot of fun. It's like nothing in the US. But you should ask Alex about his newfound love for tents and camping.
Oh my God, I can't do it.
You can't do it.
Can't do it. I'm not going in the tent.
You don't like the stand-up shower tents?
The showering wasn't actually as bad as I expected it would be. It was just that damn tent, man. It's like 20 degrees at night and then 100 degrees when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what are some of your favorite artists right now that you've been listening to? Either one of you.
Whoops, sorry, I unmuted the music. I guess we have music in our channel. That's pretty fun.
We do have music.
Yeah, what have I listened to lately? I'm always just like grabbing a bunch of random stuff. Man, there's this guy I've been really enjoying a lot. His name's Vrael, Vraell, and he is kind of like a guitarist primarily, but his music is beautiful. He's just somebody very random and I think relatively small that I've been kind of devouring everything that he does.
Okay. Yeah, actually found him 3 recently too.
Yeah, he's great.
And I guess the thing I've listened to the most recently is the newest Father John Misty album EP. It's 8 songs, but I really liked it.
I don't think I've ever heard of this person. John Misty.
You got a lot of flight time. I'll send it to you.
Yeah. It's not Father John Misty?
Father John Misty. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think I've heard that name before. It's been a while. Okay, so have you had any like specific songs on repeat recently, or you just kind of like listen to a bunch of different stuff?
Yeah, there's a couple. Oh, you can like link stuff in this channel. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 1 or 2 things I can't stop playing lately. Let me find this. Damn. All right, now I can't even get through my playlist.
I honestly don't know. It's kind of random or just like a YouTube mix while I'm working in the background. I have a corporate job. I don't make music for a living, so I don't have the same freedom, and it's just kind of something in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know what concerts yeah. I think
You know what I've been listening to a lot is Lorne. I don't know this guy's story. He's this like sort of mysterious dark electronic producer that's been around for a long time, and all of his music is so cool and haunting. And I don't think he like I'll link you guys his channel. That I can do. Let's see.
I don't think I've heard of him before.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. You guys are fast.
Dang. Okay. Yeah, I can't say I've ever heard of Lorne before.
Yeah, it's weird. He's like he's just kind of under the radar. He's been this way for a long time. But I love his music. Yes, his like sound design is it feels like he's accessing a version of like dark electronic energy that I've never heard before. Like he's invented his own sound, which I always admire a lot.
Okay. I'll have to check him out after this. Okay, so this one's for Logan. This one's a very good question. I've heard that your favorite pastime is telling embarrassing stories about Alex, especially about how bad he is at mini golf. Do you have any fun stories to tell us?
I do enjoy giving Alex a hard time. And there is one good mini golf. I don't know if any of you live in Southern California where we used to live together way back, and my brother hosted a mini golf tournament for about 40 people. And with 2 holes to go, I can't remember if he was like tied and it was a big deal. It was 2 days, a huge trophy. And he just totally imploded. And every time anyone who runs the tournament gets a tuna melt sandwich, they send him a picture because he completely melted down on one of the last holes. So since then, he's smoked my ass in mini golf pretty much every time. But he can't live that down. And I don't know if he's ever been back to that mini golf course since.
No, I'm scarred. I sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat, and I feel like I'm still there at that anthill, hole 17.
All right.
Hole 17, course 2. Yeah.
Course 2, hole 17. everybody was on the rafters watching me. I must have had like a 4-stroke lead, and I just blew it. And the rough part is people weren't even like making fun of me. It was just dead silent.
Mhm.
It was dark. It was a dark moment.
So bad.
That's brutal. All right, so I think we're gonna get into some deeper questions now. Logan, if you want to put in your input, feel free to. But most of these are gonna be for Alex because I didn't have enough time to go through all of these and redo them.
Perfect. Make them for Alex. I was not expecting to even speak, so I will chime in occasionally if I can give him a hard time in any way.
All right, Alex. I guess this is still kind of a simple question. What's been your go-to fun activity outside of doing your job, making music and whatnot?
Yeah, lately, I've become a little bit of a hiking boy.
Okay.
We moved to this neighborhood called Culver City, and there's just like a really nice, like little steps, like little small mountain there. And a lot of times, because like I'm kind of unhealthy with my work habits, so doing anything outside of it is really helpful for me. And that's been something that I've actually kind of been doing a lot.
Okay. That's cool. Have you played any games recently by chance?
Okay, this is going to be incredibly controversial and damaging, but I have finally opened the door on League of Legends. It's taken me so long. And
Went out.
I've seen the chat rolling in. Chat's going crazy. I don't know why. I've obviously I adore everyone that works on the game and all of their properties, and I've done so much work with them, and I love them. But that game for some reason just never clicked for me. I mean, it's so complicated, it's insane.
It
And
is.
then I'd have this experience where like 13-year-olds would kind of yell at me, and I would crumble because I can't really deal with that at the end of my days. And I learned the secret was I learned that I can turn the chat off permanently, and ever since then I've just been kind of cruising. But it's still tough. I don't know how long I'm gonna stick with it, but I'm currently in it.
Okay. Yeah, I had that same experience actually. I got yelled at by a bunch of people on my team. I'm like, this is my
We
first
all
game.
have.
I don't know what I'm doing. Oh man. Dude, I love League of Legends. It's so goofy. All right. So let's see here. Did you ever get overwhelmed with work while you're working on Arcane?
Yeah, like every day. I will say this actually. Um, that project is so special to me that I was able to kind of withstand a lot more than some of my colleagues because I was kind of just like propelled by how much fun I was having. And there were many very, very dark times where it was like an amount of things are due that just don't even seem possible to get done. And everybody put so much pressure on themselves too. It's
Yeah.
just like the whole team was like really, really really special, but we were all kind of like going through this roller coaster of like we can't screw this up. We have to make sure we do a good job. But there were like phases where certain colleagues you could tell the burnout was coming on, and we'd sort of shuffle them into a break. And for whatever reason, like I didn't need it on Arcane, and I do need breaks a lot. I do burn out in general. It's not like I'm immune to that. But for some reason, that project just kind of lifted me naturally in a way that not a ton of other things have.
Okay. All right. How long did it actually take you to finish all of the songs that you worked on for season 2 specifically?
Yeah, both seasons just full 3-year blocks, like full
Really?
on.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I mean, I started season 2 before season 1 came out. We kind of started in a couple months before season 1 was released, and I was already starting to work on season 2 stuff. So it was like a dense 3 years where I didn't really have time for anything else. And obviously, like one of the great losses was that I didn't get a chance to make any Mako music during this period, which was probably the only thing that really bummed me out. But otherwise, I was like completely inspired, and yeah, I was ready for it.
Yeah. So you were making Mako music while you were working on season 1 though?
I was actually, because I was finishing Fable as season 1 was kind of beginning. So that
Gotcha.
kind of yeah, because 2019 is I think when we started production on season one, and I remember I think I must have wrapped up Fable right before COVID, and then COVID came.
Mm,
So I got to experience that, and that's what taught me like there's not enough space to do those both of those things at once. It's a killer.
gotcha. Okay.
Oh my
Did you
God,
ever?
these stickers are crazy.
I know I've got a lot of stickers here. Did you ever get to sit in on any voiceover sessions with any of the voice actors?
I really wanted to. I never got a chance to. I got to meet the guy that kind of runs the voiceover stuff. The closest I got was just working with Mick Winger, the voice of Heimerdinger,
Hmm.
on this our song "Spin the Wheel." But I didn't actually get to see a proper voice acting session. That was one thing I wish I did.
Actually, you know what? That brings up a question that I had that I didn't put on my list. Working with a voice actor on music, how did that go? How did you kind of like guide him through all that?
It was really fun. It was actually unlike any experience I'd had before because I'm so used to being like, we're here in the room, let's make the best song we can. And so those are my instincts. And my instincts were not, let's make sure you're still in the voice of this 300-year-old hamster character.
Hmm.
And so I wasn't paying attention to that. And then I would finish sessions with him, send it to our team, and they'd be like, this is great, but like the whole second verse just sounds like a grown man singing. It doesn't sound like our character. And I was like, oh crap, totally forgot about that. So that was one of the like weird adjustments. But other than that, credit to Mick. He's the best singer, amazing personality. The whole rest of it was a breeze.
Yeah, and then I heard in one of the interviews that you did, you had to do so many different versions of it with different languages and different
Yeah.
voice actors or singers. How did that go?
Yeah, that was a really fun. That was probably another very unique experience. It wasn't just me because I would have crumbled immediately. We have a localization team that is responsible for looking after all of the dialogue for all those languages. I think we do 26 languages. So they're working with the voice talent in Germany, in Brazil, in Mexico. Like they have that whole infrastructure built. So when it was time to like think about this, I had a bunch of meetings with them, and they were really good. They found there was a period where like my email was unreadable because it would be like 40 different demos would come in, and I'd have to review three singers from Greece and then three singers from China and then four singers from somewhere in South America. Like it was just like very, very dense,
Yeah.
and we got there. I mean, it was just a very interesting process because I had to like I didn't speak any of those languages, so I needed to trust the translation was good, and then try and have their singer match their voice actor in their region. There's just like a lot of elements at play that I didn't really think about. But I was really proud that our team did that. I mean, it wasn't my idea to do that. That was like them. And I just thought that was such a cool, unique, like way over delivery on something. And it's just mainly because like the squad has a ton of love for the fan base. Like we kind of do everything for like the fan base of Arcane. And that was one of those things where we're like, let's do this.
Okay, that's actually cool. So back to the voice actor one. Since you never got to sit in on one, is there anyone that you really, really wanted to sit on with?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I've become friends with Reed Shannon, who plays Echo, and I would have killed to like have sat in on his. He actually came to some of our like music sessions and stuff.
Okay.
And then like I just, fell in love with Ella and Haley as Jinx and Vi. Like I don't know if they record their lines together or separately, but I really would have loved to hear Ella do Jinx in real life. And as well as Mia, the actress that did Powder in season one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, also like Silco's voice. There's all the VAs were just so good. I would have had so much fun basically listening to any of them.
Yeah. Dude, Silco's voice actor, he's really cool.
Oh man, yeah, Jason.
Yeah. Okay. So how has working on League of Legends World Anthems been different from working on Arcane's soundtrack?
Yeah, super good question. It's incredibly different. The whole context is make something that inspires and can fill a stadium for an esports event. It's like a very specific function. Um, the real challenge over the years is like, how do you reinvent it and keep making it feel fresh? But that when I show up to do a World's Anthem, I'm just picturing myself in those arenas. We'll usually work with like a creative brief too, that's like the branding for Worlds that year, and then the region that Worlds is in always plays a big factor. But otherwise, it's just like make the biggest stadium anthem you can, and then Arcane is like pure, unadulterated storytelling. You're just living inside of these characters, and obviously the tone and the characters and the writing of Arcane is very dark, and very personal, and sometimes quite small. And so like everything changes when you're doing an Arcane song in comparison. Mostly what I do is I get hired to write a lot of songs, so it's a lot of just like, okay, why, what are they looking for? What is the purpose of this song existing, and how can you make it kind of have its own personality and identity and thrive in that space?
Okay. That's cool. I didn't actually know that. So out of all the world anthems, since Imagine Dragons Believer to the most recent one, Heavy is the Crown, I think that's one of the world anthems, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So which one out of all of the anthems is your favorite?
Yeah, good question. Legends Never Dies always gonna be up there for me just because it's like, probably the most successful song I've ever written, but also my first anthem there, and it was the start of this incredible journey I've had with Riot. So it just like is defining for me. And then then you get Rise the next year, which is like my first time, being the artist and performing one of these things, which is a trip. And then I really loved Gods. I really love working with New Jeans. And might or might not be cooking up something new. Who knows what we got coming up? But yeah, these are always coming in and out of my life for sure.
So what was it like seeing Legends Never Die, your first World's Anthem, hit gold certification, and then shortly after that seeing Rise hit gold as well? What was that like for you?
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, it's kind of, if you're in music, there's this funny thing where you wander to people's studios and you go cool places and you see plaques and you're like, whoa, that looks so cool. It's all very superficial, but it is one of these things where you're like, man, could you imagine one day if I had a plaque? That would be incredible. And so those were the first ones that I ever got. And the funny thing is, I have them and they're just still wrapped up here in the corner of my studio. I don't really love like showing off things or anything, so that was never really the goal. It was just like, oh, I have a plaque, but I haven't hung it up yet.
I think I've given Alex gifts 10 years ago, something framed, and it's probably still wrapped on the floor.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I was going to say one other thing to add. If he doesn't tell me who he's working with or whatnot, but we do have an agreement that there's one musician he's never allowed to work with, even if the opportunity presents itself.
It almost came up, too.
This is true. It did potentially almost come up, but he can fill you in if he wants, but he's promised me it's not allowed.
Okay.
Somebody asked for a picture of these plaques. I'm trying to figure.
I already sent one. You have them wrapped.
Oh damn! Still. Oh damn! You guys are crazy. How did you do that? Oh, you're behind me. Oh my god! Here you are.
Yeah, I'm right there. Yeah, no, I saw it. I saw it in the interview. I'm like, wait, are those his gold plaques just sitting there wrapped? And I'm like,
I can't even.
It has to be. That is hilarious. You can't. The owner of the server can't.
I'm just bad at it. I just don't have the skills.
It's not the right format. Discord doesn't like that. It's hilarious. Okay, so why haven't you hung those up yet? Just don't have a spot for them, or?
It just never really was about that for me. Like, I don't really need to. It's not. It was just about like a personal just sense of pride, and just like, holy cow, like I've done this thing. I don't really have wall space, and as Jeremy can attest to, or people would call me out, like I don't have a lot of cable management and cleanliness going on. I just kind of like crash into my studio and start working, and then leave the second I can't move anymore. There's not a lot of aesthetics going on here.
Fair enough. All right. So, now I have some questions from people in the server and from myself.
Let's do it.
So this question comes from someone in the server. I can't pronounce the name, so I'm not even gonna try. Anyways, at exactly 16 minutes and 55 seconds in the interview video that you did with React to the K, you're seen using a piano plugin in Logic. I'm gonna send the photo so you can wait. Hang on, let me grab it.
Yeah, is it Keyscape?
Is it? I don't know.
That's always been my go-to.
Anyways, this one.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100% Keyscape.
Keyscape.
The new
Gotcha.
felt. Yeah, it was a felt like plugin that they sort of updated not too long ago. Beautiful. I mean, I think this plugin is like ubiquitous now. It's just so good.
Okay. Sweet. All right. Now from me, out of all the instrument plugins that you use, well, actually, kind of answered this one. Which plugins do you use the most for like reverb or for instruments or for anything? Is there one?
Oh
that kinda
yeah,
like-
I mean, I recently got into this. Like, I don't know how nerdy this is for people, but like, there's this company called Altiverb that makes a lot of great reverbs. They're convolution reverbs, so they actually like go into insane spaces in the world, tunnels deep underground, or like near the Egyptian pyramids, like just larger than life places, and they'll like send out an impulse and record it so that they can essentially like fabricate that whatever plugin you put this on will put it in that space. It's really fucking cool, and it's scary like how beautiful and accurate and real it feels. And so I just got introduced to that a couple weeks ago, and I've been kind of hooked on it.
Yeah, I heard about something like that in school. I don't know if it was the same thing that you're talking about, but it's something similar where they just get a bunch of samples from deep underground tunnels, stuff like that, and then just upload them. I think it might be the same one, but I can't remember. So this question comes from some of the classmates that I had would ask this all the time. If you only had one DAW to work with for the rest of time, which one would you choose? Would it be Logic, Pro Tools? Man, what other good ones are out there? Can't even think of them.
I have an easy
Ableton?
answer. I've only learned Logic. I'm lazy as hell, and I've just never learned any single other one before. They're all great. They're all dope. All I have very talented colleagues that are in all of them, but I learned Logic and I've
FL
never
Studio.
opened the door.
Yeah, FL Studio. Perfect. Gosh. So what do you use Pro Tools for? Is that just for editing all of the music together, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't use it, but it is a massive industry standard in the sort of engineering and recording space, as well as orchestra. Like when we record orchestra, there's probably 50 microphones, out there in the hall, and our normal everyday DAWs are not that great at organization and like the ability to just like look at and take in that much audio in a sensible way. And Pro Tools is like bar none the best. So a lot of times we'll wrap up a session in like Germany, and then they'll just fire us their Pro Tools session, and so then I will have somebody else kind of decode it and dumb it down for me.
Okay. So now for everyone that's been kind of wondering this, including me, what advice or wisdom would you have for someone who's starting to write music on their own with like little to no knowledge of how to create music? Is there any kind of wisdom or advice you'd give us?
I mean, for sure. I mean, for a lot of people, I think we get kind of obsessed with what's going to come of this, and like how am I going to make it, or in some cases like how am I going to actually support myself. And I think they're totally understandable reactions, but it's not a great place to like the journey of learning music and getting good at it and finding your voice and making a living with it. It's such a long journey, not in terms of like it'll take forever for everybody, but it's like you really got to just like dive in and fall in love with what you're doing for a really long time, and that needs to be the foundation of what you're doing. And for those of us like myself that are always like obsessed with like where is this going, like what is the point of all this, you can get discouraged really badly. And also like it's got to feel like play, because that's how you collaborate with strange people and get acquainted to new ideas, new genres. You just kind of gotta move about the musical world and just start like vacuuming in influences. That was one of the things that was like really special about starting with Logan, was like then all of a sudden I'm getting all of this EDM sent my way, and I'm just like downloading it, and then I'm going to a festival with him and being like, oh, what's this band? This is sick. And then and so like all those things kind of clump on you, and then over, I don't know, a decade or whatever, you start to be like, oh shit, I think I have like a sound and a voice and an opinion that feels like it's mine.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good answer. Thank you. So now we're kind of ending the nearing the end of the interview. So now that you've got some free time on your hands, now that you're not working on Arcane, would you be down to do any cooking with Mako streams again in the future?
That's so funny. Yeah, of course. So wait, I've only done those with Lindsay, right? With Lindsay Sterling.
I think so.
I mean, listen, if the people need cooking, then we'll bring the cooking to them.
We need cooking. We need more cooking with Mako streams. Those were so fun, dude.
Yeah,
I
I can't turn it down.
In multiple years of living on and off with Alex, I can't think of anything you've cooked of mediocre stature.
That's the
We would
thing.
just
Like
eat.
nobody's tasting it, so like you guys won't know how it is.
Yeah, you could
One
just
of the
tell us
times
it
we lived
tastes
together,
fantastic.
he lived in like on the bottom floor, and he would come up to the main floor, and he would just eat 20 olives out of a jar, and then go back downstairs, and you wouldn't see him for like 4 hours. So I have no faith you can cook anything.
Dude.
Oh man, it's so true. Olives are good, dude.
Okay. So now that you've worked with Lindsay Sterling and Ray Chen on a number of various projects, do you think you'll ever have them featured on any future Mako projects?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, the real starter is like starting Mako stuff to even know where it's going to go, and I've like already been starting some stuff and just trying to like reintegrate myself with like what do I want to say now after so many years off. But I love both of those people dearly, and I do not doubt I'm going to be making music with them again at some point. I think Lindsay moved to Nashville. When she was here, we'd go out for like walks pretty often and just kind of hang. So I actually haven't talked to her for a little bit, and I haven't seen Ray. I mean, Ray is like an internationally touring A-list, soloist in the orchestra world. So he kind of like comes in and out, and we'll just be like, "Hey, what are you doing? You want to come see me at the Hollywood Bowl?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure."
Okay.
So yeah, they're both very special people, and they're both very different.
Yeah, I actually didn't know she moved. I thought she was still in
Yeah.
California.
I mean, who do I don't know. She's probably still. I actually can't keep track because these people are touring so much. Sometimes you don't even like. I didn't realize that Logan had moved out of Chicago until like 4 years after he left Chicago.
We had one of our good friends lived in DC, moved to Denver for 4 years, and moved to LA. And we got dinner, and he said, "How's DC going?" He hadn't lived there in like 7 years. So Alex keeping up with where people are, I wouldn't trust what he thinks.
Okay. Well, that kind of wraps up the end of my questions. Got done 10 minutes early. That's cool. So there's a lot of questions that people have.
Yeah, I'm
here
seeing
that-
these. Do you want to start feeding them to me? I'd love to answer everybody.
Yeah, let me go scroll up. There's a lot to go through. Actually, you know what? I think you have some questions in the AMA chat if you want to look at some of those while I go through these.
Yeah, I think I'd love to just answer everybody here now, and then I'm gonna go through the AMA now that I've finally remembered my password. I'll make sure to do that.
Okay. Oh man, there's so much. I was not paying attention to the chat. Okay. Oh, here's a great question. What are the most amount of consecutive hours that you slept outside of a tent?
Yeah, it's the whole Glastonbury because I don't go in the tent. It's an easy answer.
The entire time. All right. Gosh. I'm just gonna move this down, scroll all the way up, wait for things to load.
Justin, you're lying. I love cheesecake. Not signed to Ultra. I finished that when Fable was finished, and I haven't been with a label since. And to be honest, I am enjoying that experience. So I might,
I could do that too.
all those like different third party things have been popping up. I might just release something via that. I don't know.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to let people kind of come in here, and if they want to just talk, they can ask their question themselves. I think that might go well.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So Kashi, if you would be so kind as to allow that for everyone. Okay, sweet. I'll do you first.
Does my mic work?
Yeah, we can hear you.
What's up?
So can I call you Mako or Alex? I don't know which one.
You can call me either. I never know what to say. People, yeah.
So the last time, at least I've interacted with you, was when you were talking about the story, like the story behind Chameleon. I was just kind of wondering because it just like your song seemed very personal, but like how did that change when you transitioned to Arcane, where you're working with other artists mostly and having to do stuff based on like what you see is going on in the scene versus just your emotions purely?
That's such a good question. And I'm going to be incredibly candid with you guys. I hope this is not boring. Please tell me if this gets boring. I have an easier time writing Arcane songs because it's kind of terrifying and exhausting to actually be like vulnerable and open. Just for me, I've always been that way. And I am so affected by other people's stories, and the stories in Arcane are so emotional that I love telling them. I find it very easy and it comes quickly. And writing a song from my own life is grueling. It's so hard to do it. And I was reflecting recently because I was listening through Fable again, and ironically, like Chameleon's kind of the only like wide open, honest, full bore thing that I feel like I've done. And there's shades of authenticity and everything, but I've always really, really loved making instrumentals and really had a tough time writing lyrics for myself. So it's kind of one of the things I'm thinking about on future music is I'm like it's time. Like it's time to exercise this muscle again and get a little more used to it. But yeah, for some people it's effortless. They just can't stop telling stories about themselves. And for me, it's so hard for me to be able to do.
And just one other question. Who was the one that helped you do that transition at first?
Do which transition?
From like making personal music to making music for film or TV.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to get back into film scoring, and it was Christian, the showrunner for Arcane, that had kind of just pinged me one day and just said, "Hey, come to my office. I want to show you something." And he had already like finished the pilot episode for Arcane, and he asked me to be involved, and it was a no-brainer because I've always been dying to get back into film scoring, and it's a very hard industry to get into. There's not a lot of people that will give you opportunities, and so I just jumped at it, and then throughout the 2 seasons, I was like, okay, this is actually my favorite thing to do is tell great stories or be supporting, voice in great storytelling and then working with great artists.
All right. I'm just gonna, before I ask more questions, let the people ask. So thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. Great questions.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Who else should I add in here? Allie, you wanna speak? If I can just wait. Yeah, just scroll up and click it. There we go.
Hello?
There we go.
What's up, Allie?
Hello. Hi. Hi, how are you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
Doing great.
Really tired. It's 4 in the morning here.
Oh my God.
Well,
Did you wake up early or do you need to go to sleep?
No, I need to go to sleep.
Oh
This
my gosh.
this kind of kind of coincided with a trip to Spain. I should be in California, but you know, it's fine.
You're a trooper.
So I had kind of a slightly funny question. Um, are there any like lyrics or songs you've written that people hear and think there's like a super deep meaning to, but it just really sounded cool?
This happens all the time, and also the inverse happens, which is I write something
Yeah,
incredibly deep and incredibly meaningful, and no one ever mentions it or thinks about
yeah.
it. And so it's kind of a funny relationship you start having with lyrics where you're kind of like, should I like, especially when I'm trying to write like a big song for somebody else or for worlds or something where it's not about self-expression. It's just about like helping an idea get across. And sometimes you're like, is it better to say a buzzy, thorny, strange thing that's going to catch people's attention, or is it better to be just like full bore honest about something, or in between?
Yeah.
You're kind of always dealing with that. I'm somebody that doesn't really. I don't need people to know what the songs I write are about. Like that's not really a part of the process for me where I feel fulfillment from it. I really enjoy like
Hmm.
people interpreting songs in the way that it hits them, and then that's their
Nice.
song. Like that's probably my favorite thing. So it
Nice.
doesn't matter too much to me, but it's it's a fascinating thing when you're out in the world writing songs and people are reacting to them, and what comes back at you is always surprising.
That's so funny. I always hear about like English teachers quoting Shakespeare and they just are just describing the color blue, but taking
Hmm.
some sort of crazy meaning from it. And it's just like, are they just saying that the chair is blue or whatever?
Yeah, something I've been interested. I love film and just movies in general, and I really love like, um, kind of like weird avant-garde like art film, not
Hmm.
because I understand it, but just because the atmospheres that it creates, like, do things to
Yeah.
you. I guess with the passing of David Lynch, I've just been like watching some of his stuff, and you're like, some of the stuff
Yeah.
I don't know if he would actually tell you it means this exactly. I think sometimes it's just like I just want you to feel this dream that I just
Hmm.
had. And I think like making music can be like that too. And I think for some people,
Yeah.
it's like about putting images in your head, even if the whole story is not like super, clearly connected.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
Anyway.
Go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. Thank you.
Actually, I have one more question based off of hers. What movies and TV shows have you been watching recently?
Recently, we're just like die hard on the Severance train. That's been a biggie.
Yeah.
Um, it's so great. And then this neighborhood I'm in has like a movie theater like literally next door, so I'm actually going to a lot more movies, which makes me very happy. And yeah, I've seen like on this last batch, I was at The Brutalist a couple weeks ago, and then I saw Conclave. I need to see Wicked, and I need to see Honora. There's a couple on my list that I need to grab. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, there's been a lot of good movies. The last like 2 years have been cool.
Okay.
Alex and I do not agree on any TV
Yeah,
shows ever.
Logan's taste in
One or two.
movies is trash.
And he goes, "It's trash." And I like Severance, but I won't ruin anything. I think this season has been mediocre,
I
and
agree.
so I'm of
I
course.
agree that it hasn't reached a peak, but I also think like I want the context of the whole season, and then I'm happy to be like, yeah, it didn't quite get there, but yeah, I like that stuff exists at least where I am paying attention.
But the two shows we have major disagreements over that I love and he does not like are Silo and Drops of God, which are both
Yeah,
Apple
okay.
TV
Can we
shows.
ask the chat? Drops of God. What are the thoughts here?
I don't even think I've heard of that show.
Yeah.
You guys are missing out.
What's
Apple
it
TV
on?
didn't promote it,
Oh, it's on
but
Apple TV. Gotcha.
Silo also good. But I, as Alex is an artist and I am a management consultant now, I would follow his taste, but I'm confident in those two.
Nah,
We'll do a watch party.
we should do a watch party. Who else? I think Kashi wanted to say something. I'll let him get in here. Welcome.
Hello. This is
Yay!
so good to talk to you again.
What's up,
So
Kashi?
my question was what I typed earlier in the chat. Would we be getting more songs with unique time signatures or unconventional time signatures like Parable?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I wish I could spoil this, but I had a really great experience recently. I went to another country and worked with this artist I was really admired, and her vibe is very like ephemeral and interesting and strange, and I didn't know what to expect. And she started working on an idea in 5 without even like she didn't even think about it. She just started doing it, and I was like, oh, this is my people right here. And I was like all about it. Um, yeah, I haven't done a ton recently, but it's always popping up. I just like the grooves. I think you get some different pockets that are really fun. And then film scoring is really great because it's way more fluent in that kind of crazy mixed meter stuff. But I think like if and when another Mako album comes out, 100% guarantee there's going to be weird time signatures sprinkled in there.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
We
Miss you, Kashi.
see who else wants to go. Okay. See, let's get Mirage in here. Mirage, welcome in.
Hi.
Woo woo!
Oh my goodness, I'm so nervous.
You're doing
You're
great.
good,
Okay.
you're good.
Woohoo. Okay, so I have like I guess 3 or 4 questions. But I'll try to make them short. Do you prefer making your own songs or making songs like you did for Arcane?
For like the last couple years, I was completely full making songs for Arcane. This, like I was saying earlier, the storytelling was there, so I didn't really have to like think too hard. And then the spread of genres kept it really fresh for me. We did a lot of different styles with a lot of different artists, and so I felt like very like excited every week. But I'm at a point right now where I'm really starting to crave doing some of my own personal stuff. There's just nothing quite like what Kashi had asked, like getting lost in a weird time signature, or just kind of exploring a place that feels like I'm the only person right now that would even think to do this because it's so me. I think that's like an ingredient that I've been missing out on, and I didn't really realize it because Arcane was so stimulating. But now I'm starting to be like, okay, I need to start scratching that itch a bit again. So, I think the ideal lifestyle is a bit of both buckets is good for me. I don't think I can live like exclusively in one or the other.
Okay.
Um okay, this one's I guess like sort of weird. Would you say you have like a specific singing style in your music? Cuz I feel like I can hear it in some of the songs that you made for Arcane, but I'm not sure if the artists have just a similar singing style or it's intended to be that way.
That's really interesting. I always wonder that because I lose a little bit of context since I'm not really like aware of myself sometimes, but I wonder like when other artists are singing my songs, can people tell that it's something I wrote? And I've had people call it out before where they're like, I could tell that was you. And I don't know what they mean. I'm sure they're right. But I don't know if it's a vocal tone thing or a melody thing. But yeah, for my own voice, I don't know. I got like a few small gears that I kind of shift back and forth, and some of them are big and belty and anthemic when I'm like doing a demo for a world's anthem, and then there's very soft and personal. But recently, I've been enjoying hearing my own voice when it's just like low and calm, rather than super high energy. But yeah, it's always like it's weird. Like you can tell when artists after a couple albums they start to get tired of hearing their own voice and they do a lot of manipulation to it. And I'm like a little bit nearing that zone right now where I'm like a little bit tired of hearing myself, which is kind of shitty because I haven't released much music to you guys, so you guys haven't heard all this music that I've been writing the whole time because there's just demos of every single song that's either on Arcane or elsewhere that's like a full Alex demo that just will never be heard. So I'm like kind of in a spot right now where I'm just like, all right, let me like find a musical space where I actually want to hear my voice again. But yeah, it's a good question.
I think everybody wants
That's
you to
nice.
release demos.
Okay, my last question. This one's silly. Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Mayonnaise is definitely an instrument.
I knew it.
Yep.
Sweet. I'm gonna go play
We can put
the
that to
mayonnaise
bed.
instrument now. Okay.
That's all I have to ask. Thank you so much. We
So
love
nice to talk to you.
Yeah, good questions.
I don't know if Alex would say ketchup is an instrument. He's a ketchup hater.
Absolutely not.
You're a ketchup hater? Oh.
Yeah. Ketchup is vile.
Fair. So, let's see, who else do we have here? Okay. Eli, I'm gonna invite you.
So true.
I'm gonna invite you, Eli. Don't expose me. Get in here and ask your question.
Ducko, firstly, I really like your new space. It's very, very cool.
Thanks, man. I set it up specifically for this interview.
You like how to quickly clean it all up and make it look nice for Mako.
Oh yeah.
Mako, you can go back in time and tell your old self like anything about your music career. Like give your old self advice. What do you say?
It's kind of funny, like I've been doing a lot of like weird personal work lately. Just like got a sick therapist like a while ago that's been like cracking. And the one thing that I realized is how like desperate I was to like get acceptance in so many different places in my career. You spend a lot of time when you're starting to fire things up like in and out of record labels and management offices and publishers and agents, and they all make you feel really bad pretty consistently. They make you feel like you're not really worthy of their attention. And so a lot of years were spent trying to be like, how can I get these people to like me so that I could get things off the ground? And easily the number one thing I'd go back and tell myself is like, sort of fuck them and just like trust yourself, like trust your gut. I'm in a place now where I really am starting to trust my opinions about music and start to believe in them. And that's a pretty empowering feeling when you're like, yeah, my ideas are good and they have value and I should be putting them out there. And I spent a lot of time kind of like pushing those down a little bit to just try and get things going. Some of it's like when you're just so broke for a long time, you're just trying to survive as well. So I don't feel guilty about anything, but it's definitely like I'd be so much nicer to myself and just be like, keep following the sort of weird corners of your brain because that's where you're gonna want to end up anyway.
And what are you like? What are your like kind of guides to people starting out with music, trying to climb that uphill slope of self-doubt? I guess you kind of went through there.
Self-doubt is kind of going to always be there. You got to learn how to manage your own brain chemistry because you need to do a couple things at once. You need to keep the little kid excited, inspired version of yourself alive. And there's many times where it starts to flicker and feel pretty rough, or you get burnt out, or yeah, you just kind of, I'm like, you get so caught up in the business of things too and the industry, and especially these days with like you got to be making TikToks all day and the stuff that kind of like can kill your creative spirit a little bit. So you got to be able to keep that person alive. You got to be able to still feel excited and interested in what you're doing, and you got to believe in your ideas. And then just on the more technical side, I always tell people like learn a bunch of the trade skills around what you do. So for me, I wanted to be a film composer and I accidentally stumbled into electronic production, which then got me in a weird way into songwriting, which got me singing for the first time. And then I started being an artist and then I started, writing songs for it's just like all those weird, like kind of chapters in your life start to become the most valuable thing to contributing to like your value to the industry and then your ability to like create opportunities for yourself, because a lot of what's tough is just like getting something to happen and somebody to walk through that gives you a cool opportunity, and all that stuff is where like the luck comes in, and I think you can just improve your odds by being good at a lot of different things.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Mako.
Yeah.
A huge fan. And when I saw Ducko was doing this interview, I was like, it was kind of like a what? So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for answering the questions.
Hell yeah, great question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
All right, let's see who else wants to get in here. We have 9 more people. Okay. Let's go. I'm just gonna go from the top. So, Maned Werewolf. I'll send you that invite.
Oh my, hello.
What's up?
Hi.
Uh, Let me just say that just talking to Alex is on my bucket list, and I'm scratching this right now. Also,
I'm
hi,
sorry. This is
Logan.
probably terribly disappointing.
It is
No.
not. It is not. I have two questions. The first one is that I love that you make a lot of animal themed songs. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that was kind of like the whole inspiration with Fable. I didn't like really know I was gonna do that. It kind of happened. It's so the album I think kind of kicked off with a trip to Norway that I had. I just kind of like went out there by myself. Logan eventually joined me in Sweden at the end of that trip, but I was just kind of like out there in the woods, and just nature and animals are kind of coming at you, and so that's how that started up. It's not necessarily any. I don't know if I've written any very animal centric songs for throughout Arcane, but yeah, it was like a really cool kind of like well to dive into a little bit during Fable. I had a really fun time with that.
That's awesome. Um, what did you feel the most while writing Fable?
I think that one was like kind of the period that I think happens to a lot of people where you're just kind of very sick of yourself and your own music, and I needed to kind of prove to myself that I could make something unique and make something that felt like me and didn't feel like it was copying other people. And I was kind of like desperate to like put it out there just to be like this exists, I can do this. And I it's really fun. It's one of the only things that I've ever done that I actually go back and listen to relatively frequently, which is like I don't know, once or twice a year. I don't really go back and listen to much of my music, but that album I just it still really sits well with me. It's funny to listen to it 4 years later because there's so much of that desperate kind of like I want to do something crazy here kind of energy. I mean, it's not like a weird abstract album, but there's just like a lot of funny decisions I made that I don't think I would need to make in a new album. I think there's like a way to like kind of comfortably be explore weird ideas, but like do it in a way that doesn't feel like it needs to just like be crazy to be crazy. So yeah, it was a really it was a really important moment for me because it really kind of opened my brain a little bit to like having to make choices that felt like me, and I'm sure that that energy carried me through Arcane, and it will carry me beyond as well.
In my opinion, you accomplished that with flying colors.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
It sounds very unique to me.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Also, thank you, Ducker, for this.
Oh, you're welcome. Dan.
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up on the list, Ben Birkenbosch. I think that's how you say your name. I might be wrong.
Yes, you're totally right. It's very cool to be here.
Sweet.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
up,
we can
Ben?
hear you.
Hey, all right, super cool. So I actually have a sort of a question about your how you approach and explore ideas for your music. So like at the very root of the seed from where the song is gonna be made out of, like how do you approach this? Because in my opinion, you always seem to hit like your songs are super great. Everything that you bring out there. So the ideas that you come up with, how much time do you spend like navigating that, trying out different ways before you proceed with production? Because obviously that also takes a lot of time. Or do you quickly proceed and then you secretly just have millions of finished songs that is never gonna see the light of day? Just really wondering like how you go about that whole part, if
Yeah,
that makes
super good
sense.
question. It makes total sense. And everybody's got a different way through this. I actually have to hear the song I want to make outside of the studio before I can actually start it, which probably sounds a little weird. Like I just have to hear like a riff or a melody or a groove in my everyday life, and I go, "Oh, I'd love to make a kind of thing like that," and then I'll immediately go into the studio. I've never been somebody that can just show up on Monday, not have anything open Logic, and just dabble until something arrives. It just doesn't really work for me. So, a big part of my process is like this a lot of music and getting fire runs night, and we do a lot of stuff, giving a lot of stuff. That's one way that I kind of dive into things. On the other side, like when it's an Arcane thing or a Worlds thing or writing for another show, or they will come with a lot of sort of like story, visual, emotional references for me. Sometimes even music references, and that will replace my process where that's putting ideas in my head automatically. So before I even start note one, and I'm super process and outcome oriented. It takes me a very long time, so I don't have any demos lying around. It's just basically I write like 5 or 6 songs a year and they all come out, and I work like for months on each one, which is exhausting. But I've never been like fire a bunch of ideas at the dartboard and then pick the best one. I just kind of like make a decision on the outside and then I commit hard to it, which can suck sometimes if I'm getting stuck on an idea. But it also makes me pretty good at and pretty reliable at like when I show up to do something, I get it done. Whether it takes a week or a couple months, and that's just kind of been the most effective way for me to kind of come up with stuff that I like.
Yeah,
I'll
that
add.
is super cool.
Oh, I was going to say, I'll add to that. There were so many good ideas that he had that I've lived on a hard drive somewhere else, long gone. And we would push him to do, and once it was off the table, it was off the table. So, getting
Yes.
him,
I don't know why that was. It's tough. Like if it doesn't have an element, it might never. I've been better in my modern sort of adult range of like keeping some things on a playlist nearby, and those will find their way into becoming cues or songs. If an idea is really cool, I know now that like it will eventually figure out a way to come out. Not always for me, but for somebody.
I will say, if there is some kind of 10-year-ish type thing, I will find a way as part of the agreement to get out of the hard drive and make Alex live with the consequences.
Okay. That was a good question.
Good question, Ben.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering it. I find it very interesting, and it's super cool, like how you commit so long to just one track. And I mean, it pays off. So really, congrats on that, and really good luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
My pleasure. This is fun. I'm sorry, I'm just eating salad in between.
Yeah, all good. All right, Panda dude. Sent you an invite.
Hey guys, as
Let's go,
always,
Panda.
it's always good to talk to you, Alex and Logan. I've got a couple questions. So the first question I asked in the chat, and Logan kind of gave me an answer, but Alex, I'll ask you as well. What is one song you're listening to right now that you would love to remix? I still listen to your In the Shadow of the Sun remix like all the time. So what is one remix that you'd like to do?
Oh yeah. I had this thought not too long ago, but I'm trying to remember what it is. I think that guy I mentioned at the beginning, Vrail, his music makes me be like, oh, I want him to give me one of these, and I will like he doesn't have a ton of vocals in his music, and I'm like, man, I would love to write a song over this. And then there's also this Polish composer. She's a piano artist named Hania Rani. And she makes a lot of stuff where I'm like, man, I want to like DM her one day and just be like, can I write a song over the tops of these? Um, they're weird, unconventional kind of artists that you probably wouldn't expect, but those are two people where it made me think that because I haven't really done many remixes before. It's been a while since I've ever done stuff like that. But yeah, those are two.
That's super dope. Super dope.
Okay.
And then, yeah, my second question is, I was so happy when you and Logan were talking about a potential 10-year anniversary concert, and I want to probe into that a little bit more. What city were you guys thinking maybe it would be in? Because I need to plan now.
We were thinking New York. We were trying to set up something a while ago where it was like one in LA and one in New York. But it's kind of funny. We just kind of assumed like, oh yeah, like my agent would be happy for us to do this and venues would be open. And he was like kind of like, no. I was like, oh shit. So we kind of need to find like a venue that'll have us. But Logan found one that's promising in New York, so we might start there.
Okay, because I will do anything. I will help set it up, do all the logistics. Like we got to make this happen. So I'm
We
so
will
glad to
make
hear
sure
it.
that you guys know well in advance if this is happening.
Yeah. Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much.
You too.
And
Thanks, man.
keep going.
Yeah, good question. Okay. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to say that name. Sador Mirin. I probably said that so wrong.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Hear
what's
you.
up?
Yes.
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
Doing good. Just finished my
Still
salad.
being salad, as I can
Yeah.
hear.
Last bite right now,
Yes.
but that was a good one.
I had a couple of questions. First off, you mentioned in the interview the little behind the scenes that you did on Riot's channel that you were I won't say promoted to executive producer by Christian this time.
Yep.
And what was that experience like to go from producer to executive, and what did it teach you along the way?
Amazing question. It was a very big milestone for me. At first, when he asked me to do it, I didn't know what that even meant. So I was kind of like, yeah, sure, sounds good. And what it is and what it was is in season one, I only just was involved in the songs that I wrote. So like anything else that was made that I wasn't writing, I just wasn't even paying attention to. I mean, we'd all give each other feedback, but I didn't really have to do with it, anything with it. And then season two was like executive producing was looking after every single one of the 22 or 23 songs, making sure every single artist was getting super clear, easy instructions. I had to like really hack into all the artist brains and kind of learn how they created so that I could kind of like pitch them an idea and create an environment that I knew they'd thrive in. And an example is like not many artists are used to writing songs to picture, like film scoring. So I would remove that as a variable just because they don't make music that way. So why would we ask them to do it for the first time here? But I would just guide them knowing where they were going to go with it, and I would edit everything to picture. And it was really fun because I hadn't ever. I'm a pretty solitary dude, and I don't really like collaborate that much or talk to a lot of people, and so it was really weird to almost like be a corporate guy a little bit. I mean, some of these artists I'd get on calls and they didn't know that I also made music. I was just a guy that it was sent to them to give them instructions, which could be any old A&R or music business person does stuff like that. So it was kind of trippy to like be in a managerial role. And it taught me a lot of like normal life lessons, like how to give people bad feedback, like that this thing's not working. I wasn't really used to that. And it's, being sort of non-confrontational as a person, I stumbled a couple times by not really giving them clear feedback that their idea was bad because I was too scared to do it. And then learning throughout the process, like, no, you got to rip that band-aid off very quickly. And they need guidance and they need like a vision. And so like it was just like I leveled up a lot as a person, and then also it's given me another one of those skill sets that I mentioned earlier, where it's like, shit, now I know I could do this, and I could do this again. Like I could be of value to another soundtrack that needs somebody to kind of tie it all together. I know I can do it, and I didn't know I could do it before. And I think like a lot of things in life, some of those big moments are when you like kind of get asked to do something that's a little bit above your like belief that you can actually achieve it. And so I was kind of, just trying to stay afloat for a while. And then it was really fun to get a good groove and really feel confident about it. So I really am grateful that Christian asked me to do that because it wasn't something I ever like had in my bingo card for myself. And now I'm really glad I know I could do it.
Oh, that's nice. I
No.
wanted to also ask, since you mentioned the fact that you're quite solitary and you like being on your own a lot, how do you manage to find a balance between the need to be solitary in your creative endeavors and being able to market yourself and network enough to be able to sustain yourself through what you do?
Yeah, I think I got to like a specific point in my career where I don't need the networking the way that I absolutely needed it when I was younger. Like I have enough of an ecosystem that's really consistent and reliable, and I've worked with great partners that really love working with me, and I love working with them. And so now I just kind of have faith that the work is going to show up every year, which is not that doesn't come online when you first start. Like it takes a long time to get to that place. So the byproduct is that now I have the ability to be solitary, and so now is when I kind of abuse that a little bit too much, and now I'm always thinking about like, all right, it's time to get outside, it's time to get away from the studio, or it's time to start working with other people. I just had a session today, and I haven't worked with other people like this before in a very long time. And I had kind of convinced myself that I don't like making music that way. And it was a great experience today. It wasn't like something where I that's the only way I want to do it, but I'm like, yeah, this should be a part of the diet, man. Like it mixes things up well. But I think for anybody that's like doing creative fields, balance is always something you're thinking about forever because you're always out of balance doing one thing way too much.
Yeah, I see. And I wanted to ask one last one before giving up the spot to someone else, which was that I see, including myself, I see a lot of people that are musicians or producers or trying to make music in the Discords, and I wanted to know if maybe this little bit of space that you have now would maybe be an opportunity for the community to be able to get involved with you and interact with you a little more around music. For example, holding remix contests or little beat battles or things like that. That could be fun. Is that
I think it's
something
a
you
super
would
great idea.
know?
Yeah, what I'd love to be able to be is like a resource for people, like to come in and like listen to things and give some feedback. I think I can be useful with that. Um, I have so little time, so I also don't want to like promise anything I can't deliver on, which is why sometimes like doing longer form things I get a little nervous about just because I don't want to let you guys down. But I would really love to like be helpful for all of you guys that are making music and trying to figure things out. Because there's not a lot of guidance when you do music and songwriting. Like there's not a lot of teachers in this stuff, which is always annoying because like classical music has tons of teachers. But yeah, I think like if we like schedule something where I'm just like listening to a bunch of stuff and hitting you guys back, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, we would love that for sure. Thank you so much. That was great.
Absolutely, thanks.
Yeah.
Also, I just forgot one thing. Can you please tell me how do you get what's the vocal chain that you have on Sting's voice to get it to have that low
Ooh,
growl at the same time that he's singing?
Oh yeah. Well,
that's a
there's the
great question.
vocoder that's in the chorus, and I get asked a lot about that. That's a plugin I use by Antares called uh shit, I can't remember if they call it Harmonizer or something, but they have like kind of a vocoder plugin that I really like. Um Ding's vocal chain, I don't know because we were in COVID and he recorded at his apartment in New York. And I would sort of zoom in and be staring at his chin because he'd put his phone on his music stand. And he had a full I mean, it's Sting, so it's like he has a full recording studio in his apartment. And it was like an engineer there and all that jazz. And they just send me the stem. So I'm not quite sure what he used, but it sounded good.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll
Thank
see you
you.
around. Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Daco.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're going to
Oh,
have
yeah.
to depart too. You're in good hands with Alex to answer any questions. Or Alex, if for some reason you are stumped, you can text me because unfortunately the corporate life, I have to go back to doing some work. So ping me. Alex is
You
the
did
best,
great,
as I
Logan.
wrote.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
I
thank you
was
so
not
much.
expecting to be
You
put
can
on the
rejoin
stage,
Mako
but
anytime, as long as you finish the marathon in under 3 hours.
yeah, right. We not happening either way, even if I did. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.
See you, Logan. Thank you so much. Okay. Next person up is Kelly. Get you in here.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi.
Hi everyone. Hi Alex. Hi Ducko.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going? How's your week going?
Good. Just wrapping up. Getting ready for
Oh,
Japan. How
nice.
are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, few questions once again. Sorry about all the talking, but
That's great.
so I discovered you through Arcane, and that has really been a huge inspiration for me, like all the aspects of Arcane. Love it so much. So I was just wondering and just curious, what was like the most challenging scene to score or to find like the right musical tone for it. You know what I
Yeah, there
mean?
was a
Yeah.
couple. I totally know what you mean. Sometimes I actually have to like look at the soundtrack on Spotify to remember all of the songs because there's so many. But
Oh
there was
yeah,
a
for
couple
sure.
of these that like took a while. Some of them didn't have like big hurdles, but just took mountains of work, like the one to Ashes and Blood that we did with Wood Kid this season that features like children's choir, and we had to like invent a language with our lore team and teach all of that stuff to kids, and then make a weird like subversive cinematic track and make it all work. Like that was just one that took a long time, but we kind of knew it would. um and then yeah, one of the other ones that was a real joy but really challenging was Isha's song with Eason Chan, just because it was
Oh.
like a really long distance to work with like these amazing Chinese songwriters, and Eason, like just you could feel the distance between those moments. We were never making any of that music together in the same room. It was just a lot of like really long Zoom calls and ideas sent back and forth. So that one just like took a while to get right. And then yeah, like I don't think I really like hit any major walls. The nice thing with Arcane is Christian is really clear and immediate with his feedback. So I'd start plenty of ideas that were wrong, but he was so quick to tell me and to give me instructions on where to go from there. So I was kind of had a nice time, like just finding my way through. I never really felt like stuck eternally and was dying because that's a dark place to be.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I watched the behind the scenes the Wood Kid video that just released a few days
It's so
ago.
cool.
I think
Yeah.
that was so cool. And also your behind the scenes too. That was really cool. So
Yeah, I
get a
got a bunch
glimpse of
more.
the other side.
We
Oh
filmed
yeah.
like 5 of them in my studio, so we got them. I'm coming out, and I'll keep doing some more.
Yay. Let's go. Okay. This question I stole from the AMA chat, but I thought it was pretty interesting, so I wanted to ask: are there any lyrics or songs that you've written that people hear and think there's like a super deep meaning, but in reality it just sounded cool, so you just used it?
Yeah,
I think this is Ali's
somebody had asked
question.
that question earlier, and it totally happens all the time. And same thing with the opposite, where like I'll write a really deep lyric and nobody will care about it. It happens a lot.
That's pretty funny. Going back to the mentorship kind of chat that you had with is it Ben earlier or no, Sam and Dorian? Um, just curious, are you ever interested in having like any sort of like internship or mentoring opportunities for aspiring artists?
I love that that stuff exists. The weird thing is I never really like need I don't need many things, and this is probably like a fucked up answer, but like I was an intern for somebody when I started, and it was like kind of a rotten experience. Like it was a
Mm,
dude just like didn't pay me and made me do a bunch of stuff and then made me feel weird, and then he fired me, and it was like right when I moved to LA, and I was kind of
Aw.
like I don't want to like
that-
give some young person like an experience like that. Like it wasn't like traumatizing or the worst, but it was just like I was just like this sucked. And so I think I've also been like bad at it having an open mind to it just because I don't want to be that guy to somebody else. It would make me so sad. And I don't really have those kinds of needs. Like the stuff I need is like I need high level producers a lot, and I need vocal producers that can help edit all the vocals I'm recording all the time. Like those kind of specialized skills are things that I will usually like hire people out. But I've never had an intern, and I also I think I'd feel uncomfortable if somebody was like in the room while I'm making music because I like to make really bad
Fair.
ideas and feel comfortable to make bad ideas. So the thought of having somebody around also hasn't really worked for me. So I know this is such a negative answer, but it's just kind of why
No, no,
something
I
that
get
popped
it.
up for me.
No, I get it. I completely get that. Yeah, I'm also an introvert myself, so I
Totally, yeah,
completely
you get it.
understand. Yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, you mentioned that you had Christian Link, like he's great, he's amazing. So would you say that you had a lot of creative freedom when you're like shaping the soundtrack, versus compared to like working on your own songs and your own standalone projects?
Yeah, I think like at first Christian was very tight on all of our cases in season 1, like feedback every week, listening to everything. And the fun experience was like him really trusting us. Him and Fortiche, the animation studio, getting so busy finishing the rest of the season that they couldn't really pay that much attention to us on the music side, but they trusted us
Mhm.
so much and we'd built such a good shorthand that they kind of let us on the like music and sound team just kind of like do our thing, and then we'd check in near the very end. And that was pretty crazy because like on a high budget show like that, that's generally not the case. Like people want to be very sure that their people are making the right kinds of work. But it was a really cool experience because like we just started to really like telekinetically understand what everybody was thinking. I'd never had that experience before when you're like with people in year 5 and year 6. You just kind of like you get a sense of each other. And so we actually did have a lot of freedom, and I don't think I would have nearly that much freedom on other arcane size shows. It's just very unconventional.
Okay, great. That's all my questions. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
answering
Thanks,
them.
Kelly.
Yeah. Thanks. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you, Ducko, for arranging this.
You're welcome. Thank you. I actually have one question for you before I move on to the next person. So you made the music, or was it just the main theme, or was it the music for the Megamind TV show?
Yeah, that main theme with Adam Lambert. I just did that.
Yeah. Okay. So what was
No
that
way.
experience like, going from Riot to oh gosh, who made Megamind?
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks. Yeah. How was that transition going from that?
Sick. It was great. I was looking for, it was in between seasons, I think, or like deep, like I had a little bit of free time, and I was really interested to work with a new partner. I mean, I'm such a huge sucker for animation, so I've always adored anybody that knows much about me knows that I'm obsessed with How to Train Your Dragon and DreamWorks and that stuff.
Yes.
And then obviously like Pixar is something I was raised on, and it's just like always been close to my heart. So I was really looking for a new adventure because also I can get a little comfortable with Riot. They all know me and trust me, and I wanted to like know like, can I do this for anybody else? Like I'm doing a pretty good job for Riot. Can I do this elsewhere? And the music team at DreamWorks is lovely, really great people, and we had a fun experience because it started small. It started as give us a 15-second little stinger, and they had told me Adam Lambert's one of the voices, but he's not going to do any music, so don't think about it. And I was like, cool, no problem. And then I wrote this theme, and it's fun. It's for a kids show, but it's a banger. Like it's so fun to listen to that their team was like, let's play this for Adam. Adam heard it and was like, I would love to do this. Let's jump on it. And then we were like, cool, let's make this longer than 15 seconds. Let's make a whole version out of it. So it was just like it was just like an experience that kept getting better and better. And I'm really proud of that song. I mean, it's not as serious and dark and intense as Arcade, but I love it. Like it turned out great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
That's real cool.
It's such a funny crossover.
Yeah.
For real. Okay, so
Love
we're
that.
gonna get the next person in here now.
Yep.
Please.
See you. Yeah.
6-man. Okay. You want to stay in here, Kelly?
Sure.
Hey, Alex. Thanks so much for taking the time to do this, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's my icebreaker question, and I'll have another follow-up. So from a scale of 1 to 10, how mad are you with the captioning team for not properly transcribing your lyrics on multiple songs on the show?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So the context just for people is like on when you go to closed captioning on Netflix, all the dialogue's great, and then like the song lyrics are very misinterpreted, and sometimes like kind of the opposite of what your lyric means or whatever. And that was tough to realize. I don't really know what the whole infrastructure is because our team on the Riot and Arcane side is really good. They compile everything, every detail. They know the hours I'm in sessions with people. Like everything is cataloged and archived. So it wasn't really our thing. But I also don't even know like are some of those things like automatically generated. You know how like you can go to a YouTube video and turn on closed captioning.
Yeah, they just did the AI do it.
Yeah, it feels like that, but I can't speak for it. It's definitely, for people like us that spend a lot of time on our lyrics, it definitely drives you crazy. But sometimes you gotta let those things be what they are. The other thing that's a biggie is like shows automatically skipping credits and taking you to the next episode or taking you to, it's like, oh man, like when you tuck a song or a piece of music in the credits and it skips, you're like, God, that sucks, but that's how it is.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so my follow-up question is, so for oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I need to go back to my question. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
For jeez. Oh, there it is. So, for your writings, so for her, how did you actually discover her as an artist? Were you, because one of the interviews you said that you went out and specifically said, I want her for this track. How did you actually discover her as an artist?
Yeah, I just, the way like you find any artist, like I just kind of stumbled into her music probably like 4 years ago or 4 years before our season two. And I just always loved her. And we have a great team at Riot that like functions as like almost a record label where it's like A&Rs and just good people that aren't making music but are part of the music team. And so every time I'd write a song demo or we'd have something surface, we'd all meet together and be like, all right, which artist do we want to plug into this? And I tried to like never suggest all my favorite people because I kind of felt like, all right, I wrote this thing. Let's open this up to like our team and just have people throw ideas out of people I've never heard of. And there's so many artists I didn't know pre Arcane, like David is one where I'm like, I'm just obsessed with him and his music now. And that was somebody else on the team being like, yo, David. And I was like, wow. But we were kind of struggling to get somebody for I Can't Hear It Now. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I've got an artist I got to show you guys. I just really think she's right for this. And I didn't pull that card very often. So when I did, people would just be like, cool, let's reach out. I mean, sometimes it's kind of tough because you're like, you got to like get through their publisher and through their label and then their management before you can talk to the artist. So sometimes those conversations kind of get shut down before the artist even knows that you reached out to them. But that was a lucky situation where everything kind of worked and she recorded it from afar. And then, yeah, like just get to be friends with her and work on some things with her is really, she's the best. I mean, you just listen to her voice and you can hear it, but she's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was an awesome collaboration, and definitely I think you nailed her as an artist with that song, and I think it's awesome, man. That's it for me.
Great question.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of the sickest experiences to work with people you had already admired. Like that's always fun and pretty surreal.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, David, I found him before Arcane, and then I found out that he was making a song for Arcane. I was like kind of blown away by it. I'm like, I love his music. I can't wait to see what it comes with, especially if he's going to be working with, Mako and you. And that was a good song that he came out with.
He's like awe-inspiring, and he's disgustingly young too. It's those people that are like, I mean, I don't even know if he's 20 yet, where it's just like he's a fully formed artistic like behemoth, and we gave him one of the hardest assignments. The song that we wanted was like a very not song friendly moment. It's very cinematic and kind of strange. And he crushed it. I was so impressed by him. And then ever since I've just been like, yeah, a huge fan. And he was a very big Arcane fan. He kind of came online to us as like, guys, I really want to do this. And so I think that always helps a lot because it's like this person they know what we're doing over here. And so I think that probably also helped. I couldn't speak for what his process was like, but we're kind of like amazed at how well he threaded the needle that we needed him to thread.
Yeah, he did great. All right, thank you, Six Man, for those questions. We're just gonna fill up the speaker list. Okay. Taidu Santo. I think that's how you say that name. There you go.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Good. How's it going?
3-4 questions in one. So bear with me. I'm sorry. I already told you what I felt like Arcane Season 2 and everything. So it's more like a follow-up because we read that Arcane is done and there's not going to be a Season 3. So how do you feel about this? And where does this put you in the film scoring for the future? Are you already working on something else? Are you excited to start a new project? Because I feel like leaving Arcane after 3 years, I feel like leaving the comfort zone, quote unquote, and bringing all the skills you acquired into a new project. So where do you see yourself in the future? Trying to stick to film scoring or making pop music again, or both?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I guess I'll answer those in reverse order. Like, yeah, I love both. I'm obsessed with just writing songs, just film scoring, and then especially writing songs for film scoring projects. Like that kind of marriage of songs and picture. I discovered it's just crack. I just can't get enough of it. Um, this is probably gonna sound way dramatic, but it's a little funny where I legit feel like I'm going through a little bit of a grieving process right now of not having Arcane. It was 6 years total for me, so I've just had that to lean on for a very long time, and it's brought a lot of purpose to my life and to my days. And it's very strange to just not have that anymore, and not have a new season coming up and something I know everybody's gonna get excited
Right.
about. So I'm kind of in this weird process of like trying to learn how to chill out for a little bit and then also like learn how to uh get involved in things that aren't arcane because I don't know, I guess it's kind of like ending a relationship where you're just comparing every new like person you're dating to the last person or whatever, where you're just like I that's not a good idea because there's not many things that are ever going to exist like arcane in scope and how much it cared about its music and was just a feast for you to write for. So
Yeah.
I'm cruising through it. There's dark thoughts where I'm like, will I ever like anything as much as I like that thing? And
Right.
who knows? Who knows? But I think you just got to be like grateful as hell that it existed and that I'm just so proud that like people connect with it and know that I was involved in it because in season one I kind of stayed behind the scenes the whole time, and this season I've just done a better job like actually like getting out there a little bit and talking about it. So it just feels like a good thing that I got to celebrate with everybody.
Yeah, because I don't know if you remember. I mean, you said before that now you feel like in a place that you don't need networking as much as before, and I'm pretty sure people will knock at your door and saying, "Oh, that's Alex Seaver actually made the Arcane soundtrack. I actually want to work with them." And I don't know if you remember, we started to make joke about Kojima that he tweeted Arcane, and I was like, "Yeah, you should definitely like trying to do something like this." So Arcane comes from a video game, which is crazy. What they did, I mean, which is like majestic. How do you feel like if they're gonna ask you to work for like an actual video game? I'm not saying Kojima, that would be like huge, but like, would you feel like excited to start like this new journey that it's quite different than just like film scoring for a TV show?
Yeah, I mean, first off, if Kojima came knocking, I'm opening that door in a heartbeat. I
Oh
think the
yeah.
promise I'm trying to make to myself, and we'll see how good a job I do, is like consider any project and do the ones that you're actually really excited about. And I know when I'm excited about something and when I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's a gig, or oh, it's nice to be wanted by this company or this person, so I'll do this thing. I've been doing this long enough to know the difference of like, oh, I have to do this, or like, yeah, I could do this. And so I'm just gonna I'm trying really hard to just do the ones where I'm crazy excited. This is way too early to talk about, but I just started another big project that
There you
it's
go.
a very strange one. It has nothing to do with anything that I've done before, and it will be surprising when it comes to be, but I'm like week 2 and it's cool. It's weird. It's making me feel like excited. It's not the nice thing is it's not replacing Arcane because it's so different that I'm not like thinking about it, but it's just like yeah, that's what I should be doing cuz time's limited. You only get to write so many things a year, so you just want to make sure that like you care about them.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, that's how Arcane started. That was something that you never done before, and it worked out pretty well. So I'm excited for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, like nobody saw that coming. And also like I didn't really join Riot thinking this would lead to an Arcane because I didn't even know they were capable of it. And I think we all got to just enjoy the wild roller coaster that came out of it. And I think that also taught me that like when you are just in a good space working with people you love and inspired, like good lucky things happen as well.
True. So next question. What's your process when writing for a scene? Besides the direction from the director, how do you approach it? Are you trying stuff like until something hits, or do you have a more methodical way?
It's pretty methodical. Everything does start with a conversation with Fortiche and with Christian. We'll get on these big long Zooms early in the morning, and they'll just tell me what they're thinking. They also temp the show with music, so like while they're editing it before we've even seen it, they're putting music up while they're working to get a feel for how their editing
Right.
is working against music, which is super common in film and television. And so like it's a combination of hearing the choice they've made, hearing them talk about the scene and the story, and then my asking them questions. What did they like about the temp they chose? What's missing about it? How can we expand this and try something a little different? Have we done this before? Does this feel new? That was a biggie for Christian, is he always hated ideas that felt like we've already been here before. He always wanted to feel like what we were doing was kind of brand new to us. And I really admired that kind of sensibility of his. And sometimes I didn't even understand it. And he would just run off and I'd follow him. And eventually I'd be like, oh, that was a good idea. And so like it has to be collaborative because it's their show and we're a team, so it's not like I get to be like, oh this is what I think it is. I mean, I'm making decisions all the time that are weird decisions that I believe in, but I like to have as much context as possible about like what's the goal and how did this moment connect to other moments. You know, like writing the Freya song, I needed to know the context of the story because it's a Caitlyn song, and Caitlyn's heading on this weird, dark character arc that is very strange. And this song needs to plant seeds that are going to eventually evolve over the next like 5 or 6 episodes. So it's just stuff like that where it's like I want to have as much info as possible while I'm working. And then from there, I'm just kind of like, you know, wherever the muse sort of hits you, like whatever you feel in the moment, you just kind of like chase that.
Yeah, like also trying to keep the same theme for some characters or main characters.
That stuff is
Which you
fun.
didn't.
That stuff starts to feel like you're cheating a little bit in a good way, and it's supposed to feel that way where you're like, oh, nice. I don't
Yeah.
have to invent a new idea every single time. I get to actually like to evolve this one great idea that like Alex Temple made or something that I made earlier on, and that obviously connects a show. We like when we're hearing motifs and themes that are connecting moments, and we do a lot of it in Arcane, and that stuff was a blessing because it was like great. I can like keep working on this thing that we took a long time to come up with in the first place.
Yeah, the thing that I love the most about Arcane was, you know, how you guys were able like to mix the diegetic and not diegetic music into the show. It feels like also like, you know, there's the scoring, but there's also like the pop music, and sometimes it's diegetic and sometimes it's not diegetic. I remember like it was in season 1 when they enter into the club and they were listening to the song and then becomes not diegetic, which you guys did an amazing work.
Yeah, the one thing I want to find a way to like blast out that I don't think anybody will know otherwise is like how much we worked with our sound design team. We worked with them in season 1, but it was kind of like still a little bit two houses divided. And in season 2, we like lived with them and fought battles against each other and figured things out and invented things. And I think one of the silent killers and one of the things I'm proudest of in Arcane is how it sounds, like the actual relationship of sound design, dialogue, and music. I think
Yeah.
it's supposed to not really be noticed. Like those things work and you don't really realize they're working. But there's some sequences that are not designed to sound good, like Woodkid's song, where it's a quiet, atmospheric song happening over blasting action and crazy amounts of technical things. And we worked so hard together in the theater at Riot for a week, just going to battle. Like, if you give me 2 bars of this chorus, I'll get out of your way for this part. Like, just negotiating with each other because sound is zero sum. Like, you can't both exist. It just cancels each other out. So you gotta collaborate. And in traditional film and television, like, you never meet the sound designer. You just deliver your music, and then some guy turns it all down later, and you hear it on Netflix, and your music sounds really quiet, and you're like disappointed. And with Arcane, we actually got to like fight these battles together. And so
Trust me,
like
I know.
it's just yeah, you get it. Like if you do this stuff, you know, that's the way it goes. And so I think that was another thing that just kept us all very inspired all the time. Is we also felt like, oh, we get an opportunity to work on sound, and we might not get this opportunity again. So let's make sure this thing sounds ripping.
I mean, it's pretty interesting because hearing from you, you're like you work for a triple A, like Arcane is like a big budget TV show. when I do like the indie stuff or like small TV shows, since I'm like in the sound design and the post production, it's like we never talk with the people who make the music. We just receive the stem. We're doing dialogue, we're doing sound design, and we're doing the mix. And we have to do everything in Atmos, and that's it. I don't even know who made the music. And if I like something, I'm like, wait, who actually did the score? Because it actually sounds good. But I have
Totally, and
no
it's not like
idea.
a product of you guys not caring. You're just like
We don't talk to each other. The two departments just don't talk to each other because it's not like big budget movie, so they
Yeah,
don't care.
totally. It's the factory line of even at big budgets, I think there's not a lot of situations where people collaborate. Not that I have many other big budget experiences with this stuff, but it's just like from what I've heard, like this is a luxury. So yeah, and I think like I wish more things would collaborate because like your product gets so damn good and interesting when you've got different departments working
True.
together. I mean, that sounds obvious, but like, yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, last question. It was for Logan too, but he left. When are we gonna have our next reunion in New York?
Oh wait, is this Antonio?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You guys have all changed profile pictures. What's up, baby?
Good. I thought you got it. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, and like, is your name different on here too?
It's always been to this. Oh no, because on Instagram I think I have John Doe. That's
Yep,
why.
yep. Yeah, I haven't. I don't know when I'll be in New York next. But Logan's always trying to get me to go, so we'll definitely. If there's another Final Fantasy concert, that'll be a good time.
And can we just like meet without the Final Fantasy concert? Not because I don't love it, but we don't need an excuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But who the heck would I ask so many questions about post production if it wasn't me?
I don't know. I don't know. I was like, wow, this guy is really. He's in there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Have a nice
Yeah, great
evening.
to talk to you, man.
I hope it's still like safe now in Cali, and
Yeah, yeah.
many
I
hugs.
mean, it's crazy, but yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Thanks,
Bye.
man. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye. Love you.
Oh.
So let's keep going down this list now. Snackulair. I don't know if that's how you say it either.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good morning from the other side of the pond.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just woke up and said, hey, this thing's still going.
Good morning.
It's like almost, it's 5 a.m. in the morning now. Yeah, but cool you're doing this kind of stuff. Sorry, I'm a bit croaky maybe.
You're doing great.
There we go. Yeah. I had some questions about remixing, and someone else beat me to the punch a little bit before about the remix contest. But how would one go about like? Because I have some ideas for remixes for the Arcane soundtrack. How would one go about and like? Can we submit those to people, to you maybe, or here in this Discord? And I'm just making them just for myself now at the moment. But
Yeah, I don't think like Arcane, those guys haven't done like traditional kind of remix packages or anything. I think you're at like they whitelist the music, so I think you can just like make things and release them. One of our favorite things is just like hearing everybody's covers of songs, and remixes of songs and all that stuff. I mean, I think just like make something just because you enjoy making it and put it right out there.
that's cool. Oh, I didn't know that.
I could, yeah,
That's
don't
cool.
quote me on it, but I see so many remixes online, and my algorithm just sends them to me that I gotta believe that like they whitelist. I think Riot
They're
has
not
historically
they're all
whitelisted their
all
stuff.
taken down.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're gonna work hard on something, and then you'll get a copyright strike.
No.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
The pain.
We're working on that. And also, you mentioned I think an artist named Finnegan too.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started listening to because you mentioned it, and it's really cool artist. Are you working with him on something maybe?
So yeah, I was acquainted with his music, and I just started loving it, and then can't remember, like he followed me or something, and I was like, oh, this is so crazy. And so we've been texting each other. I don't know where in the world he lives. I think he's kind of a like a
mysterious elven creature that lives deep in woods and strange places. Like he's a very interesting guy, but he hit me up recently that he's going to be in town in a couple months and we're going to get together. I really like his music. It hits me in all the kind of ways that I think I like. I feel like a lot of kinship with him in terms of like the cinematic stuff mixed with the pop stuff. So I never really like force working with people, but I always just like, hey, let's get together and let's just hang out and see what happens.
That's cool. I would love to hear whatever comes out
Yeah,
of
I
it.
mean, I think I would be open to it. Let me say that. Like, I don't know what his process is like and if he even likes collaborating, but it's definitely somebody where I'm like, I could picture this.
Cool. All right. Let's see. I had some other questions, but I'm blanking out a bit at the moment. How? Oh, that's a good one. How do you deal with writer's block?
Yeah, good question. Like, writer's block is kind of strange. For me, writer's block is like I've figured out two sections of a song and I can't figure out the other section. Actually, it's kind of funny. I'm going through that right now on a strange, interesting project that's a little new and I'm getting frozen on it. And usually the trick for me is getting away from anything for a bit and also because you kind of need to like destroy things. You need to have a destructive um like sensibility when you really need to shake things up, which means like stem your entire thing down into three stems and then take a couple weeks off, come back to it and just like, you know, crank your song up 20 beats per minute or cut things up or just do weird things to re-energize it. The only tricky thing is when you're hired to do something and you're on a deadline and then you get stuck. So I'm kind of in that spot right now. And what I'm doing is I'm leaning on my colleagues, like my good buddies Sebastian as well as Alex Temple on this one. I've been sending it to them and just kind of being like, guys, can you help me like re like zap my brain to start to get back into it. But yeah, I mean, it's always time away for me. Like it's just like some things just will never be clear until you completely forget about them and then come back to listen to them for the first time.
Yeah, so cool because you just ask a friend. So it's like because you make music sometimes by yourself. It's a very solitary process, and just the option to ask someone else, "Hey, what
Yeah, and
is?"
there's a weird like psychological thing where it's so obvious when a friend sends you a piece of music what's wrong or not working about it. That always feels so easy to assess, and it is near impossible to have that same clarity with your own music. Whatever the chemistry is of living inside the project and inventing it and being used to it, you just don't have that superpower. And so being able to lean on your network is really key. But then also, if you do take time off, you will be able to re-listen to your idea with that kind of fresh clarity. But it's a funny, tricky thing. Like being aware of your own music and what's good or weak about it is, I think, kind of a Jedi power that you try and hone over the course of your career.
Oh, that's cool. All right, I remember my last question now. It's I'm a self-taught musician, and do you have any advice for not someone who's not classically trained to go into like maybe not like film scoring, but more like composing for film or TV or any other media?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I come from like the really strict classical world, but I've never actually been that kind of purist person that has any belief that like you have to be trained to be able to make music. And I think like a lot of that was just like meeting DJs pretty quickly when I moved to LA that were just like as creative and interesting as anybody I've worked with, and they don't play instruments or know what the notes are. They just have great imaginations and musical spirits, and they know how to figure out how to access that stuff. I think writing specifically for film and television, it can be the only field where I'm like, it does help to have at least a little bit of understanding of what you're doing. Not because you need that to make music, but you need tools to solve problems. And if you're stuck on something and you aren't realizing that it's because you need to modulate keys or it's because you're in a minor mode for too long and you need to switch to a major mode or other versions of that are more complicated. I do really lean on my sort of education to get me through those kind of problems. But in pop music, it's never, or in electronic music, I don't think it's not dire at all. And some people like they have actually like they never got formal training where they learn the vocabulary, but they do very advanced things and write advanced chords and stuff just because their their creative like brain is like wired to like those things, and they don't really know what they're doing. They just know they like them. So I don't think like yeah, it gatekeeping music theory is one of the silliest things to me. But I definitely like I'm glad that I have it and I use it a lot as a tool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, better crunch up on the music theory a bit though. Alright, thanks for answering these questions for me,
Yeah,
and
happy music writing.
have a good one. Thanks.
You too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Snackalier, you should send your remixes in the server. I would enjoy
Yes.
listening to them.
Yeah,
Yes.
send your remixes. We'll listen
Oh,
to them.
yeah.
All right, Elena.
It should be like a
you're up
beats
next.
channel.
Guess that's kind of our community media channel.
Hello.
Welcome.
I am in a similar position as Kelly. I found out about you because of Arcane, and I have so much love for the show. So sorry if my questions are technical and they're more subjective, but
Oh,
I
good.
got one. So I feel like in Arcane, there's a lot of character-themed songs. Like you definitely listen to it, and you immediately click that, oh, this is about Silco, Powder, Jinx, etc. And so I was wondering if there was any character in particular that you really just love to write music for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, season one, it was like Jinx and Vi immediately bonded to them and could write songs about them forever. The cool experience I had was not necessarily loving certain characters as much and then falling in love with them. And the biggie for me was like Caitlyn was somebody who I liked in season one, but I wasn't as obsessed with as I was obsessed with Jinx and Vi. And in season two, she became one of the characters that I was like so one of the most like involved with, and I really really love her arc in season two. Part of the reason was like Alex Temple did a lot of the Piltover music in season one, and I do all the Zon stuff. So I actually didn't have like a lot of scenes where I'm interacting with her. And then all of a sudden, when you write songs for a person, you're putting lyrics in their brain. So you really got to like kind of have almost like you're an actor, like have a sense of like what are they think, what could they be thinking, and what could they be feeling. And so like I think that was a fun thing for me was like falling in love with new characters like Heimerdinger and Caitlyn in season two, Victor as well. We did some cool scoring themes for Victor, but I think doing like the 21 Pilots song, that was a really fun like Victor song. So yeah, I just like it. It never really got tiring for me, like just like living in whatever was happening on screen and making cool songs about it.
Yeah, sweet. So earlier you also said that you had trouble making music about yourself because of just, I think, a unwillingness to like open up. And that's fine, but when it comes to characters that you resonate with, do you find it equally hard to write music because they remind you so much of yourself, or is it the opposite?
No, it's kind of like the fear. It's like a fear of being unsafe is what makes me like kind of clam up. And so having another surrogate to channel something I'm feeling is very powerful. And it's like you kind of open the valve and the stuff flies through. And that would be kind of like this person is an avatar for a thing I'm feeling. So I'm now going to get to broadcast it in full mode just because I can hide behind them. That's kind of what it sort of amounts to. And I think that's the thing that's great about Arcane is like how real all those characters and their relationships and their emotions are, where it's just like there's versions of so many of those stories that I could really relate to in some form or another.
Oh yeah, was that relatability what really made you like quickly develop favorites, or were there like other aspects that made you really get attached to characters like Powder and Vi you instantly fell with, Caitlyn later on?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it
I didn't have any issue writing a song on behalf of a character that I didn't exactly I haven't felt all those feelings in my life. And this is probably like a dumb comparison, but it kind of feels like when actors talk about like some actors are people that need to like live in the depths of hell to embody their character, and some actors are like, no, I just show up for my job, and it's like Anthony Hopkins saying that, like somebody who's so also good at acting, where it's like you don't necessarily have to have personal wounds that are identical to be able to empathize and deeply feel about somebody else. I mean, I've always been somebody that can like feel other people's feelings when they're transmitted to me pretty strongly. And so like sometimes it's like, yeah, like the loss of a parent like Caitlin's going through, and I can't hear it now. I'm lucky enough to have not gone through that yet, but it wasn't very hard to access it just because I don't know, I just felt like yeah, I just felt like I was so there with her. A lot of it's the storytelling and the animation that does it. I mean, they executed at such a high level where you kind of can't help but not feel it. But it wouldn't ever really be a barrier for some reason, which I'm happy to say.
All right. And lastly, I just have a really simple question. I feel like I should know it, but I don't. Who's your favorite character from Arcane?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I just think like I've just Jinx is incredible. There in the arc of her from Powder through the end, and I was with her from minute one all the way till the end. I think like every character's so damn good, but I just think like my brain goes to her first.
All right, sweet. Thank you. That's
Yeah,
all
thanks
for
so much.
me. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Got a good one here. Vizzy, let's get you in here.
Hello, is my mic working?
Yes.
What's up?
Okay, hello. My question's actually for Kelly. I'm just kidding. I just saw the chat popping off on that. I just had to take the opportunity. But hey, Alex, thanks for answering all of these questions. You're really being a trooper.
It's fun.
And so I have just like one quick question, and it's actually a repeat question because I think I asked you this when you did something similar for after season 1 of Arcane. And the question is like, what is the weirdest or strangest sample or foley that you used in either like the pop soundtrack or the scoring? I think for season 1 you mentioned like some like deer dying noise or something. So
Yeah.
wanted to open it up for season 2. Is there anything strange that you were able to kind of slip in there?
Yeah, there's one. I used a bunch of weird stuff, but like I had this funny experience. We went to a wedding in New Zealand, and I'd never been out there before. And on one of our days off, we kind of like took a ferry to one of this island nearby. This is on like the northeast side of New Zealand, and the barge that takes you across, when it lands in the dock, it just has this mechanism where it just scrapes up against the concrete, and it made the craziest wailing fucked up noises I've ever heard in my life. I'll see if I can like post it into the Discord. And I started using that in like everything, and it sounds so alien. And like when you start to like really be paying attention to the real world and the sounds that just like find you, you're like, oh yeah, there are a lot of strange things that you don't even think about that are just like odd noises. And so then you just pull out your phone and try and grab it before it disappears. Let me see if I got okay, yeah, let's see if this works. I know I'm not good at uploading things, but tell me if you guys can hear this.
I see it in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's not it. That just sounds like water. Sorry. Let's find it. There, okay, I got it. This fucking thing.
Oh yeah, that's eerie.
Whoa.
Like, right? Like, isn't that crazy?
That's like horror movie material.
And then you like put a little bit of reverb and distortion on it, and it just immediately is howling.
Well, now it's going to be a scavenger hunt to find all of the places you put it.
It's also fun because it makes you like I'll watch a scene and it will remind me of
that moment filming it in New Zealand. Like you kind of add. I know like a lot of people do this with their children. They like record their kids doing weird things and putting them in songs, and I think that adds kind of a nice little hidden personal layer to things too.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for answering. That's all I had. Keeping it short.
Thank you. All right. Zanvi, hope you're ready. Let's get you in here. There we go.
Hello. Can I be heard?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Cool. It's nighttime and it's 4 a.m. and I am really nervous, so my voice might be a bit shaky and sorry about that.
You're all good.
Sorry, you need to go to sleep after this question too.
Yeah, I have a few questions. And I really like your style of music and we all like the style of your music. Sorry, I wrote a script for myself because I can't talk at the top of my head.
I had to do that too.
Would you change your how sorry, I'm very shaky.
You're doing great.
Has there been any genres that you've found difficult making for?
Yeah, like trying to think through this because I like working in styles I haven't worked in before. I've never been somebody that's good at like that's why I was a terrible like DJ artist is that I just can't really like make the same thing over and over again. So I really like darting around. And certain genres they have like their own vocabulary where you're like if you don't know what the instruments or the plugins or the whatever that this genre uses, you kind of sound corny or like a weird sound alike. One of the ones I was nervous about was that Heimerdinger song in season 2 because I'd never really written like a folk song and I never worked with banjos or a voice actor. It was a lot of like new things. It wasn't very hard to do because it was just like a fun I just got lucky. It was just like a nice experience. But yeah, like there's certain styles where I'm like, you guys don't want me for this, trust me. And then there's a couple styles like for new Mako stuff that I'm getting really into. I really like garage, like that kind of UK dance kind of style. I like those rhythms a lot, and I haven't really done a lot of that kind of stuff. So I like that's one chapter that I'm kind of curious to open.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I'm a starting musician and I've just recently released my own stuff, but would it be best to stick to the same style or genre so it's easier for people to find you, or is it okay to experiment different styles at the beginning?
It's more than okay to experiment. I think like one of the I don't know, I shouldn't say like worst things, but like if you box yourself in, you're just gonna limit like your ability to kind of grow as a creator. And I think like you can always if you really find your style and you're like this is home, you can always just make a new project about that and then restart with it. Like I think if you put too much pressure on like being found at all times, it will like ultimately stifle your ability to feel free. And I kind of, it's hard for me to believe that like there's many people that just immediately come online in their very first genre. They go, this is it forever. I think you kind of need to like dabble quite a lot before you start to get a sense of what your favorite stuff is.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And I have another question. This is the one that I saw in the chat, and I thought it was quite funny because I think some of my friends would also be quite interested in it. Did you get to work with Tim Henson at some point, maybe?
Is he the guitarist?
Yeah, he's the guitarist.
I've never worked with him before. I've seen him a lot on YouTube. He's like always like funneling around the sort of music creator space. But yeah, never worked with him before, but he's great.
Yeah, and that's all the questions that I've got. But thank you very much, and I
Thanks so
appreciate and love all
much.
your work that you've done. And I hope you continue to do more. And good night, because I need to sleep.
Thank you. Get some sleep.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
Jay Blatt, it's finally your time. Get in here.
Oh God, somebody ban him.
Oh my god. Am I on?
No, we can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll speak anyway. First off, wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. First off, enormous shout out to this chat. Pineapple, Kashi, what up, homies? Allie, get some damn sleep. Okay, first question, and this question is for Alex. Alex, how many times do you Alex nut per week?
I don't know. I lose track. It's too many.
Okay, next question. What is your favorite Little Sims song?
I actually just got acquainted to her music probably after the Grammys, just seeing her crush. I don't have a favorite yet, but I'm going through sometimes I might be introvert, and it's fucking sick. Are you a Little Sims fan? Why are you asking me this?
Enormous Little Sims fan.
Okay, yeah, no, I like this. I really like her.
Okay, excellent. Next question. While being cleansed in the bowels of temple, what was the biggest epiphany that you had, and how has it affected your music?
Wait, I'm turning on the Discord music while this is happening. So Temple is kind of like, I think of my life as like before Temple and after the Temple, and I don't think I'll ever go back. Like, I think the post Temple life is the life I want to live for the rest of my days.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, great response.
And by the way, these are not written down, and I'm not reading from it.
All from the top of your head. Nice.
Jay Blatt on the Discord is chaos.
Wait, next question.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What are you going to do to improve your tent experience this time around?
I think this time I probably will have the RV ready to go, so that I don't even want to walk through the tents to get to it. I just want to be able to go straight to the RV from Temple.
So you just want to live in Temple?
Exactly. I want more of a home than a living temple.
Interesting strategy.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Okay, and the last question is, Logan, why have you become so corporate?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like it was always in his blood. I feel like
it really is.
He had the sellout thing kind of on lock before we even knew.
Yeah. Okay, well that's all my questions, and I'm so happy that I waited all this time for them.
Justin, you did great. It concerns me that you were here this entire time as a grown man that has responsibilities in your life. But
it's 5 a.m. now, so I must go to sleep.
Yeah, okay, and now you must go to sleep.
It was worth.
Okay, well, I love you
Farewell, my
all.
sweet prince.
Yes, my Gary.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Good boy.
Bye.
Goated, for sure.
All right, Blue.
He's not even going to know how to leave the channel, dude.
No, I don't.
Let me see if I can do
I didn't even know there was an interview going on half the time. I was just ripping the chat.
Yeah. You were
which was firing off, by the way.
You're ripping chat and my text thread with Logan.
Yeah, I mean, the chat was just spectacular. I
It's
kind of
good.
wanted to mute it after, mute the interview and just stick in the chat.
You can do that.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm gonna show up to the Discord again, and he's gonna have his own channel and like some version of a shrine that.
We're doing something with this.
Yeah, this is gonna be different from now on. I can tell.
Yeah. Oh, life has changed. These stickers are life changing.
Yeah, we need Justin Blatt stickers.
Oh, 1,000,000,000%. All right, my friends. I love you all. Seaver, I love you too.
I'll see you in the temple.
All right.
Justin's Coyotes. That's good. Yeah, if we got a couple more, let's rip them, and then I gotta go home and sleep soon. I'm exhausted, but we're
All
good.
right.
We're
Think we
crushing.
got-
Are we at like 2.5 hours?
I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm proud
You're
of
doing
us.
great. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Now we got
Me
3 more.
too.
All right, let's get Blue in here. Oh my gosh.
God knows I don't know how to do any of this.
Yeah.
Crappy thing. I'm on mobile, so the notification came, but then another notification went on top of the accept button, so I had to wait for the notification to go away. So I don't know how I'm gonna top these questions, but post Arcane, this is like from personal experience, going from like a question from personal experience. So post Arcane are this giant project that's just super successful and amazing. How did you do that transition, like that, get past that moment of like, what's next? I just did this amazing thing. What do I do next?
I gotta tell you, I'm asking myself the same question. I'm not super sure. I think like just trying to like be smart about my choices and my time, and just like one of the things is like I want to make some more Mako music, and then I want to find other new projects with cool people. It's kind of weird when you're like waiting around for opportunities to arrive. Is a strange feeling, because it's kind of like you sometimes it is like a weird insider thing, but sometimes when you have something really nice happen like Arcane, you kind of expect like, oh, like everybody will be calling, and like that's not really how it works. Like some things pop up and some things don't, and some things take time, and some things are like a couple years from now somebody that loves Arcane will be like, hey, let's do something. It's weird how it all works. It's never really like how you plan it. So I think I'm just trying to like go with my gut still, and keep doing things that bring me inspiration.
Yeah, just try and go with the flow.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to do. It's easy to say.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's all from me.
That's great.
All right.
God knows I don't know how to lead this thing.
I got you. I got you. Okay. Next up, Sean. Hope you're ready.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Let's go.
All right. I'm just wondering, when you're making music that's like orchestral or involves strings, like, do you have a go-to like contact library that you use?
I was using a couple. I mean, it's absurd to sit near Alex Temple and watch his process, because he's the goat at this stuff, and he's got like, I don't know, whatever it is, 2-3 computers all locked together that are running this like pre-mixed full template that is gorgeous to listen to. But I just use kind of a couple things. There's a couple Spitfire libraries. There's the cinematic strings that I use. I think there's like stuff by this company called Metropolis Arc, and I use some of those. I started leveling up by like making multis in Contact. I know this is a little like producer speak, but just like combining a couple different libraries to make one legato patch for a violin. That starts to make it have a little bit more depth and not sound as like synthy. But the real level up I got throughout Arcane was like learning how to anticipate eventually getting live strings. That wasn't something I had a lot of experience with. And what I would do is I would like overproduce my cues, and they would sound really dense and bright. And then by the time we'd record live strings, it's just live players. It's not a synth. It's like real humans. So it would just be a darker, more varied sound. And I wouldn't have space in my mix to fit them in and really make them sound great and make you even hear that there's live strings. So I started getting a little better at like premeditating, oh, this will be a very string like um exposed cue, so let me not overproduce the shit out of this with my libraries, so that like when we record in Berlin, like all that real life stuff is audible. But yeah, like that combo of doing hybrid things that all of us that are in film scoring do is always like an interesting evolving process.
Yeah, I guess as they say, less is more when it comes to producing.
Yeah, that's been the thing that's kind of haunted me my whole career is like learning how to pull off the less is more. That's one thing of this many things. That's one thing I want to like feel like I'm getting better at. It's hard. It's hard not to just fill up the texture.
Yeah, man, well, I appreciate it. I think that's my question. That's it from me, but thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah,
Thanks, Sean.
Okay. Civic Lab. I can't say that. There you
Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Hi. I was just wanting to ask, like, what's your like process when starting to make like new music, either like Mako or for like Arcane? Is like once like you come up with an idea, like maybe like recording yourself or like using stems or MIDI, like how do you start from that and like choosing specific like plugins, patches, or like libraries, and like how do you create like a cohesive piece of music from starting from ideas, and like how does that speak to people?
Yeah, there's a couple different answers in there. Like I was explaining earlier, like I'll usually have a thing in my mind, like a riff or a texture or a melody or a beat, and then I'll come in and I'll make that. And that part's always fairly easy because I can hear what I want in my head. And then the hard part is like now I've written this great chorus. What the hell is the rest of the song? So I'll kind of like build outwards in different directions. And I at that point, I'm usually trying to vary my process a little bit because sometimes if I just write a whole song at a piano, what I end up with is like a very strong vocal, but I have a tough time making the instrumental feel really dynamic and surprising and interesting. And if I start with a really cool beat, I come up with something that grabs your attention, but sometimes it's hard to like fit a perfect vocal over the top of all that. So you're kind of always like just like redoing your process to kind of access different things and surprise yourself. And so like it's definitely not like I've never found like a formula. I have some standby things, but then I also get sick of those after a while. If I've done too many piano ballads, then I'm like, all right, I need to mix this up a bit. So you're always kind of just trying to like dive into the song in a new way so that you get a different result.
Yeah, thanks. And also for like the second question, like I also really struggle with this, but like how do you find like motivation to just keep like improving as an artist? Like how do you find motivation to just keep making music, even like if you have like writer's block, just to find that consistency?
I think I'm just kind of obsessed with it. It's kind of like if sometimes it feels like a little bit of a sickness where it's just like I'm obsessed with trying to make a better song than the last one I made or make a beautiful new color that I just heard in the world that I haven't made before. Some of it boils down to like the people that I fell in love with just as a fan when I was young. I kind of hold them on such a high pedestal, and a little bit is like, man, I would love to like write something as beautiful is the How to Train Your Dragon score or whatever. Like that's a big one for me where it's like, man, the feelings that thing gave me when I first heard it, I want to like get to that level where I'm delivering that kind of a thing. And so like it really just kind of like it's not a valve I need to turn on. It's just I wake up and I'm just like excited to get to the studio and just like try new things and get better.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thanks.
Ooh. Okay. Got one more from Pineapple here.
Pineapple, we start and we finish.
Oh wait,
Start
I
and we
already,
finish.
I think someone. I did have one question though, but that's kind of like a more long technical one. So is it possible I can just send it to like one of the mods and they can just send it to you afterwards?
Absolutely.
Or you could put it in the
But
AMA chat as well.
I also do have one selfish question, if that's okay. But let's go.
Yeah, do it.
Sure.
Would you ever be willing to do an interview for a bunch of college music students at some point in the
Absolutely,
future?
yeah. I do it all
Oh
the time.
yes.
A lot of times it's just like people hit me up and then just schedule a time and then hop on a Zoom. I did one with a bunch of college kids last week.
Because I've no, because we have like a huge club at Rutgers, and we kind of need artists. 'Cause we have a bunch of CEOs and CFOs from the big music groups, and no artists.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Is it okay? Sounds good. Oh, I do have
Yeah.
actually one question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
How do you feel like just how art like how do I word this? Like in just terms of like how artists interact with each other, especially when you were working on a show like Arcane. How do like how open do you feel they are with their work or like their processes when it comes to like teaching each other or helping each other out?
It's kind of funny, like working with artists is interesting because you find that the first thing that happens when you meet like an artist, especially like a famous artist or somebody that has a very wild brand or style, it's really intimidating. And then you meet them in the studio and they couldn't be more normal, and they couldn't be more professional. Like a lot of this is like this grand charade that we're, putting out these like cool stories and visions and ideas. And then when you meet an artist, they're like, yeah, I'm a professional and I make music like everybody else, which is really humanizing. It really bonds you to people. And the funny thing about music making is that people fall into incredibly vulnerable conversations very quickly. Like, you meet somebody the first day and then they'll tell you a really tragic story that they're going through just so that they can help access a song through it. And you're like, I just met this person and they're telling me something they probably aren't telling many people in their real life. So it's kind of a funny quirk about the music making process. So people, you'll get really close to somebody very quickly, but it might only just be for that one session. And I've had that experience a lot. But yeah, I think like on the other side of it, artists are very protective too, and working on a soundtrack with 22 artists, like some of them were like Clay and they'd be like, I'm just here to help you guys make something great, and others would be like, I need to find myself in this or else I'm not going to do it. And so you, it's about being super respectful from everybody, but like on occasions where like somebody just didn't want to be a team player or they didn't know how, those collabs would kind of fall to the wayside, because especially for something like Arcane, you just kind of need the spirit of collaboration to kind of be open. But it's not very hard to get there with artists. They're actually really great to jam with.
All right, thank you. And also, thanks Ducko for setting this whole thing up. We
Yeah,
all
thanks,
appreciate
Ducko.
you so much.
Welcome. Yeah, this was fun. Thank you. All right, well, that's it. We are done with the interview finally.
Oh, you
And,
guys are amazing. Yeah, definitely need to say thank you, Ducko, for putting this all together. You are the GOAT. I'm so happy to be back on the Discord. This brings me so much happiness, and I'm so happy seeing everybody and talking to everybody.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do some cooking streams with you.
Yeah, let's get some more things going. I'll do my best to like be on here. So sometimes like I feel a lot of guilt that I don't want to let you guys down. So sometimes I haven't been checking it because I'm fearful that I'll load it up and I'll see that I've let everybody down by not being there. So I think that's one of the reasons why I also haven't been as active. But every single time I like talk to any of you guys, I get so happy. So I'll do my best to start popping on, and I do want to go through these AMAs next time I'm around.
Yeah.
No guilt
absolutely.
whatsoever. It's all chill. Yeah.
And you guys all need to be sleeping more.
This is true.
Agreed.
We do.
But yeah, thanks so much, everybody. Yeah, this is just so fun. I can't wait to talk to you guys all soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so
Don't make
much for
Justin
being
a
here.
moderator.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't make Jay Blatt a shrine.
All right.
All right.
Thank
See
you,
you,
Kelly,
everybody.
for taking
Have a great
Logan's
night.
spot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Anytime. Anytime. This is really fun. Yeah. On behalf
Farewell,
of everyone in
friends.
the chat, thank you so much for joining up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was
I'm gonna
long. Oh my god. That was
that
so
was